Blinken says they will.
Story.
Now they're on.
Okay, we're on now.
We're live. Don't tell the embarrassing story about Ryan quite yet.
No.
Wait until we're on.
Yeah, you're right.
Wait till we're on the air.
On the air.
But go ahead and tell your personal embarrassing story.
This story was funny because I used to work as a sound tech for. I say work. I was earning a scholarship at school as a in ministerial work. So we would travel around with these ministry groups and they would play music and songs and stuff like that.
Hip hop.
There was this one lady. I wish. This one lady that was the head of one of the groups. She was always like, "The bass is too loud. Can you turn the bass down?"
Oh, that was me.
No.
Yeah.
But this is what was great about it. She said something to the bass players. She's like, "Hey, your bass is a little loud. Could you turn it down a little bit?" And he was sitting in a chair and his bass was in the stand next to him. And he leans over and looks at his bass and goes, "Shh."
What's on the show?
Today on the show, we'll start out with saying our YouTube poll. The YouTube poll is asking, are we in a culture war? The options are absolutely, absolutely not, or I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. Very interested to hear your comments on that. Super excited for our guest today on our show. 1225 Hans von Stokowski will be joining us. 105 Tyrus. We'll get to hear from him. He's been on vacation, so glad to have him back. You want to talk about our 125 guest?
Molly Hemingway. I'm excited to listen to that because she's an interesting person. Editor-in-chief at the Federalist. She's on Fox News all the time. I think I follow her on Twitter too. She's just interesting.
I know I follow her on Twitter.
She is tough, and I love it.
Yeah, she is. She does not back down from anything. So that'll be fun. Have you talked to her before?
Yep.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
As to what Annie has in that box.
Yeah, you are.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
All time.
What the hell?
This says, share if you want.
Oh.
And enjoy.
Yay!
Ryan?
From Ryan. Yeah, it's me.
You?
Ryan Hansen at Fire Creek Snacks. The best snacks in the world. I can attest to this. We have some of these in our pantry right now.
Damn, it just disappeared.
And, do you switch me? We've got a big box of teriyaki. This is what I said to you is my favorite, Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
These are the best snacks as a mom, as somebody who's on the go all the time, because there's nothing, they don't add any junk in these. It's protein, it's the right amount to get you from point A to point B. If you have a weird schedule that really doesn't allow you to eat lunch.
Annie, you've got a live.
Like this one?
We can do it in a minute.
Ooh, Sweet Heat Barbecue. I've never had
I've
these.
never heard of those.
Sweet Heat Barbecue. And teriyaki, really good. Original, super good.
I used to pick those up in Walmart all the time.
Yep, you still
They keep
can.
On the end caps. Oh, are they good?
Yep, they
I've
have
been
just,
eating for a while.
they're part of my favorite things for Christmas. They are partnering with us. I sought them out because I love them so much, and I said, I want you to come on the show, and so they said yes. Kicker. I kind of, if you want to try,
I'm down.
I want to know how many of these you can eat one time without a drink.
I like it as spicy.
All right. So Fire Creek Snack Sticks, folks. We'll talk more about that later.
30 seconds
Ooh.
for live.
Water Sweet Soaps. Use Annie. Promo code Annie. Save 10%. Are you done with the pre-show?
I think you are taking it over right now.
Well, and then what?
Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
So the Water Sweet Soap Company is part of my favorite things for this Christmas. And when I've been pursuing them for a while because I've been a customer of Water Sweet Soap Company for years. I am a huge fan of their products for the main reason that I know that when I use them, I'm not putting a bunch of extra chemicals, preservatives, things that go into your soap products, your bath products that really don't actually help your skin. reach out to Water Sweet Soap Company online at watersweetsoap.com. Put in the promo code Annie, save 10% on your order, and you'll be able to see how they make their products with the fewest ingredients possible, the most natural way they possibly can. Water Sweet Soap in Edwardsville, you can go visit them, mention the Annie Frey Show when you do, and you're going to get a special gift while you're in the store. Check out their signature body bars, their shower bombs, their bath bombs, their hydrating hand lotion. All of the products that they have, I can speak highly for everyone. I've used all the different kinds, and they make absolutely wonderful gifts. watersweetsoap.com.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local Steel dealer or go online to stihlusa.com/gift guide.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orris and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Look, I think the fact that Elon Musk fired James Baker, who was Twitter's top lawyer and had been the top lawyer at the FBI during the entire Russiagate controversy, and he was right in the centre of that and had to leave. And then he pops up at Twitter 5 months before the election. It looks very much as if his role was to be the gatekeeper for any information that might be detrimental to Joe Biden.
Aren't you kind of questioning what the heck's going on with this James Baker cat? What a name. How many James Bakers are there? That's not even his real name.
Jim Baker, man, that wasn't the cult guy, was it? Or was that Tammy Faye and Jim Baker?
Was it Jim Baker or Tammy Faye? One of those.
No.
I don't know.
There was a Tammy Faye and Jim Baker who were like televangelists.
Uh-huh.
And they made a movie, The Eyes of Tammy Faye or whatever, because she always had these eye makeups, whatever. And then there was also a cult that moved down to South America and everybody committed a mass suicide. I can't remember who it was. Oh man, that's frustrating. I can't remember.
Jim Baker cult. I don't know. That's not what we're talking about here. James Baker, this lawyer who's been at the epicenter of all of these different controversies over the course of these last years. I mean, marquee level controversies, the kind that you can't have front and center in the news media at the same time. They had to kind of space them out a little bit, but who was always there? James Baker was always there. And it's so, I mean, if you're watching a movie and it's revealed that James Baker, the lawyer that's been involved in all of these other things, and you've got massively divided electorate, you've got people who are wearing their super bold red jerseys and their super bold blue jerseys, and that's the way that culture and community is right now. And you're going through the movie and they're showing these different controversies, and there's always this one character. Then you get to the Twitter files and Elon Musk, and then it's revealed who's the man behind the curtain. It's James Baker. You're like, oh, come on. Give me a break. You're like, I don't even believe this crap anymore. Put on Fortnite. That's what you say. I mean, that's where I am at with this right now. Like, how ridiculous is this? Well, we're going to ask Hans von Spakovsky, who is an expert on it, who I'm going to tell him what I usually tell him when things like this happen. Dumb it down for me, Hans. Bring it down to Annie Frey's level right here and explain it to me in simple terms. Who's this guy? How do you get from point A to point Z that he is at through all of these controversies? And it sure seems like he kind of had one job the entire time, and that was to protect something that was outside of the law. I'm really curious to know more about James Baker. Let's listen from
that
Corinne
these
Jean-Pierre.
decisions were made appropriately in light of what has come out?
Which decisions? By whom?
By Twitter.
By Twitter on, okay. So, look, we see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen. And, the president said last week, more leaders need to speak out and reject this.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. That was a wild ride that you and I just went on there with Corinne Jean-Pierre. First of all, she says, way too terribly much for somebody who is a professional communicator. But Jen Psaki maybe was the worst. Secondly, have you noticed when Corinne Jean-Pierre speaks, she's in a room full of the press. Now, the press is there to represent you. But I know how we all feel about that broken relationship. But she's standing there behind a podium with a binder that has words on pages in theory, and she's supposed to answer questions. But she doesn't ever just sit there and answer a question. She never, ever hears a question in her head, looks the reporter in the eye, and just gives an answer. She always has to reference something. I'm sure she doesn't want to get the answer wrong, but sometimes you don't have to, the old saying goes, you don't have to memorize the truth. It just is. And it's frustrating to watch her consistently, time after time after time, have to look down, flip through, and what she's doing is she's going to the talking points. Listening to what she's talking about regarding the Twitter files, like if you're somebody who is moderate, if you're on the center side of left, you've got to look at not necessarily the suggested outcome of what we have learned about the Twitter files, what we're seeing with the Eric Schmidt lawsuit that is alleging collusion between the government and Twitter. Boy, those are two things happening at the same time. That's very nice. There are a lot of people out here who are on the right who are using this as which I accuse the left of all the time, an ends justifies the means process, where the idea here for a lot of these folks on the right is that they believe 100% that the election was stolen, and they're just waiting to figure out how to prove it. So if you have your conclusion set already, or your hypothesis, and now you're looking for the evidentiary facts to prove it, then when you're going into the Twitter files, or you're looking at what Eric Schmidt is revealing in his lawsuits through these depositions, you may be inclined to look at that with bias. That might mean that you see things that are there that aren't because you've already reached your conclusion. And that also might mean at the same time that you could look into these Twitter files. You could look into the depositions between with some of these high-level government officials. You could look at what the whistleblowers and the FBI have said. You could look into this with the idea in your mind, this election was stolen. You could be thinking that. And we could still get to the point where we realize, yeah, there it is. Both of those things are possible. But you have to approach anything like this with objectivity, which is incredibly hard to do because nobody presents the information to you with objectivity. When you're listening to Corinne Jean-Pierre speak for the president, it's not like she's the first press secretary to try to spin something to be beneficial for the administration. But what frustrates me is that she reads it all. I could do that for the Biden administration. Give me the binder. I can go behind that podium and read your talking points, and I can do it in a way that I actually look at people when I'm answering them. I don't understand why there's so much to remember that she has to read it all off the pages. That get a little frustrating for you? Listen to Senator Hawley.
Well, what we learned, Tucker, is that there's collusion at the highest levels of government and big tech. We learned that the Disinformation Board was up and running as early as the first part of this year. They were meeting weekly. That's not, by the way, what Alejandro Mayorkas said, by the way. He said that, oh, no, the board never met. Not true. They were meeting on a weekly basis. They were giving instructions to other components of the U.S. government, and they were meeting with big tech. They wanted to meet with Twitter. They reached out to Facebook, and liberal dark money groups were also in on the act, as it turns out, giving the board ideas, instructions about how to shape policy. So here's the bottom line, Tucker. You've got a powerful arm of the United States government trying to tell big tech who to censor, what to do. You've got liberal dark money groups who are also pulling the strings. It's an incredible picture of collusion.
It's an incredible picture of collusion. That's what Senator Hawley says. Senator Hawley is a fine senator from the state of Missouri. I am really envious of the senators coming out of Missouri come the new Congress. Now do the work and investigate it and expose it and show us facts. We really do have to get back to government being about the business of the people, and that means talking about policy and talking about issues and actually getting to the point where we are managing the funds that they take from you to spend on things that they deem necessary in bills that they don't even read before they pass them. We've got to get back to the idea that there is a finite amount of money that exists. You have to take it from the American citizens who have to work hard to get it in order to spend it anywhere that you deem more necessary than they use that money to spend to put food on their kitchen tables. We have to get back to the mentality where this is the role of government, but it is so questionably corrupt right now that we have to do this first. If, much like Congressman Ro Khanna suggested, there are a lot of Democrats who have a very, very strong passion for the First Amendment. They should. They're kind of like the original, it seems like, I don't know, I'm going to say this and then people will be like, oh, Annie, I'm going to educate you. And then I'll sit there and I'll listen. You'll probably educate me. But it seems to me like the left is really good at flexing those First Amendment muscles. They protest a lot. They see something that they deem injustice and they act on it. I wish that Republicans would do that more. I wish Republicans would be more publicly upset about things that they want to be heard. And of course, peaceful protest, which wasn't it Chris Cuomo who said, was it Chris Cuomo or Don Lemon who said, where does it say that it has to be a peaceful protest?
Chris Cuomo.
What an idiot. Where's he these days? Don't even answer. I mean, be heard. Speak your mind. Dissent. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's encouraged in this country. But the state of affairs right now in this country clearly suppresses one voice over the other. And that is my biggest overarching concern in this entire revelation. There are other concerns that I have that are filed under that, but my biggest concern is that myself, as a conservative person, nobody, I cannot implore to you to understand and believe me enough that nobody is telling me what to say. Every time I talk about this, I think to myself, boy, it'd be nice if I could show up one day and they'd be like, here, say this. And then I would do that for 3 hours and then just go home and take a nap. This is all us. This is Brad and me working to put a show together every day based on the news that hasn't necessarily even happened yet, to try to be at the forefront of what's going on in the world. And this is just us talking about it. And when it gets over my head, which Jim Baker and his connections, the thread that he has sown through Washington, D.C. in these controversies is impressive to think that he has got this kind of a resume. Whew! How did he do this? Well, that's why when it gets over my head, and potentially maybe over yours as well, we bring in a guest who can say, here's how it is. That's why we will have Hans von Spakovsky on next, who is a DOJ lawyer who can talk to us about the narrative that is out there right now, what part of it is provably accurate, what part of it is speculative, and what is his summation of what this means. Is your First Amendment under attack because the government has a successful inroad behind the scenes with big tech to silence you, to shadow ban you, to keep you from having equal footing in a debate on a platform that promotes ideas across the board? Are all ideas promoted, or are some ideas promoted? And if only some ideas are promoted on Twitter, and let's not be foolish, on Facebook, on YouTube, on all of these platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram. If on Twitter specifically, only some ideas are allowed to be promoted because the government has had a say in that, hold on to your butts, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a incredibly divisive and ugly and necessary fight. And as much as you might be looking at Georgia and going, really, Warnock? Look your head back to the House and say, thank you, God, for a divided government, for a Republican majority who can use subpoena power to get to the bottom of this. Let's find out what the truth is. And if you think that the only way that any of this Twitter files and these depositions and everything that we're finding out about James Baker, if you think that the only way that this can produce results is if Donald Trump is reinstated as the president, that is not going to happen. If he wants to run again, if he wins the nomination, he may be the president again. That is absolutely within the realm of possibility. But we need to keep our eyes squarely focused on the Constitution and make sure that our government hasn't weaseled its way into the shadows of where we communicate with people to keep some of us quiet and to amplify those who disagree with us. If we don't fix that, then the whole idea of this country is lost. Hans von Spakovsky is going to join us when we come back. He is the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, and he's going to tell us about James Baker. The YouTube live chat poll today, are we in a culture war? We had a lot of chat about this yesterday in our comments on the live chat, and I thought, let's ask the folks, are we in a culture war? You have three choices: absolutely, absolutely not, or I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. You go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, and you look in the live chat section, and you cast your vote. It's anonymous. We don't know who votes what, but you can leave a comment if you so choose, and Hannah highlights those at 2:45 when we give you the results of today's poll. Are we in a culture war? Hans von Spakovsky on The Annie Frey Show when we come back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Well, the bagel loan is pretty easy to get and fast, I might add. You can close in like 2 weeks. That's super fast. Stewart's American Mortgage is helping people just like you lower their rates. You're saying, Annie, rates are high. Well, I understand that, but in the last 90 to 100 days, rates have soared. They have gone way, way up high, and then they dropped, and then they dropped, and then they dropped again, which means that if you did get one of those mortgages in the last 100 days, you can refinance with the bagel loan, and it doesn't cost you anything. In fact, it saves you a boatload of cash. Why? Well, if you lower that interest rate and use the bagel loan and you don't have to pay anything to do that refinance, why would you pass up the opportunity to get that lowest rate? reach out to Stewart's American Mortgage at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. And schedule an appointment today. You can text him as well, 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information. I'm a 2-time customer of the Bagel Loan. I recommend it for you as well personally. NMLS number 226715.
If you own a home in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes stlouis.com at 314-782-8000 and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant homes, inherited homes, fixer-uppers, beautiful homes, even the tenant who won't pay the rent apartment. Google us. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out our best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move according to your schedule and your terms. Go to our website, chrisbuyshomes.stlouis.com, or call Chris at 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000, and get the offer you've been waiting for. 314-782-8000.
Brian Kilmeade here. Our event in St. Louis this Friday sold out, but I'm sticking around after. Stop by the Missouri Athletic Club after the event to get your signed copy of The President Freedom Fighter. Yes, there's overflow. If you're there, I'll be there. Go to 971talk.com for more information.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. They say it's all right.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Have a good time, 'cause it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. Now we gonna move it slow.
End of 2019, the FBI subpoenas the information about Hunter Biden's laptop. The next year, they're going around warning about the possible foreign disinformation coming, maybe about Hunter Biden. What was the communication exactly between when Jim Baker gets to Twitter in mid-2020 and when they started the blackout, started silencing the New York Post and other people sharing the New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden? What was the communication? What was his role? Amazing that he was still there until this week.
So there you have a Wall Street Journal editor, James Freeman, asking the question that we're going to ask Mr. Hans von Spakovsky here in a second about what was this stuff going on between Jim Baker and Twitter when they started the blackout. We've got so many questions.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
in order to form a more perfect union.
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hans, welcome back to the show. I love seeing your name on the show sheet for the day because I have so many questions. And I told our listeners before, and I'm going to stick to this, that I'm going to say, Hans, I need to know and understand who James Baker is in the most simple terms you can possibly explain this, because this guy, I said his resume of being in connection with the biggest marquee controversies over the last few years is quite impressive. Tell us about James Baker.
Well, you know, he was the main lawyer at the FBI. And he was there when all kinds of things were going on, including the start and continuation of the entire Russia-Trump collusion hoax investigation. He was the one that Michael Sussman, the lawyer, called and said, oh, you really need to investigate the supposed connection between this Russian bank and Donald Trump. I mean, it was just one thing after another that he was involved in. And where does he, when he finally leaves the FBI, where does he go? He goes to Twitter.
So we see that he's been in all of these different, connected to all of these different storylines. And there's a tweet out there where Elon Musk replies about something about Jim Baker being associated with Twitter, and he replies something like, sounds bad. So there's this implication that, of course, Elon Musk knew because he tweeted something in April. I do believe that it's possible that Elon Musk might not have remembered that tweet this far down the line. However, the Twitter files start getting released by Matt Taibbi on Friday, and we find out later on that somehow or another, those files have been vetted without Elon Musk's knowledge before they'd been released. What do you make of that?
I don't know. It's pretty confusing, isn't it? Of what exactly is going on here. But one of the crucial things to keep in mind is that, look, Baker knew all about the FBI subpoenaing the Hunter Biden laptop. And so at the time that the FBI is supposedly warning all these social media companies, including Twitter, that, you're going to get this Russian disinformation about Hunter Biden, they already had the laptop. They knew it wasn't Russian disinformation, so it's pretty clear they were helping to suppress the information about it. And then Baker goes to Twitter and someone who knew and was involved in suppressing the information about this. I mean, the whole thing is almost stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a movie plot like this? Nobody would believe it. They'd say, none of this is realistic.
I said that. I just said that before in the last segment. I said, if you were watching a movie and watching James Baker be associated with all of these different things, then you watch the Twitter files come out, and then you find out they moved the curtain back and there's James Baker, you'd be like, I don't even believe this anymore. I'm out. You wouldn't. It's so uncanny that as somebody who's sitting here watching this, you're going, stranger than fiction is the best way to put it. We're speaking with Hans von Spakovsky. Yeah. I'm sure you read through what Matt Taibbi was releasing. We're supposed to get more from Barry Weiss. These are not staunch conservative right-wingers when it comes to their journalistic history and integrity. But you're watching these communications be revealed. What do you make of the Twitter rash decision to pull that New York Post story down, and then seeing the communications going on internally at very high levels where they're like, we got to figure out the story to justify the solid story that we're all going to adhere to, basically, to explain why we are pulling this down?
Well, what the disclosures made clear was that this was a political decision. Okay, it had absolutely nothing to do with it supposedly violating their policy against publishing hacking details, because they had done that before. And think of it this way. Have we ever seen them question stories published in other major newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Boston Globe? No, because they are not reporters at Twitter. They don't have any process in place for checking whether or not the stories that are published by those newspapers are correct or not. And why would they? The only reason for them to prevent the New York Post story from being repeated at Twitter was because they knew and realized it could affect the election. So any other excuse they give, we just know is not true. And by the way, Annie, something that hasn't been mentioned a lot is that, remember, there was a complaint filed with the Federal Election Commission over Twitter suppressing this New York Post story and claiming that this was illegal coordination between a corporation and a campaign, the Biden campaign, and therefore it was an illegal corporate in-kind contribution. Last September, the FEC dismissed that complaint. You know why? If you read the general counsel's report, which I read a couple of days ago, it's because they got sworn affidavits from both Twitter and the Biden campaign saying, oh, well, we never communicated with each other, so there was no coordination.
And yeah, that's so much for that. I mean, that seems like that's a big problem. I'm curious how much you've been able to shift some attention to what Eric Schmidt, our attorney general here in the state of Missouri, has been doing with his lawsuit that really predates anything Twitter files associated. He alleged that he wanted to depose people based on collusion, suspected collusion between the government and big tech. He's been able to ask a lot of questions from people. He's been able to ask questions of Fauci. And I'm curious if you've looked into that and if you have, what your top line thoughts are on what you've consumed so far.
I actually mentioned that. I think it was on the Fox Business Channel when I was interviewed earlier this week, because the Twitter story, the Twitter disclosure story, was taking everybody's attention away from the disclosures that Eric Schmidt is finding in that lawsuit, and that includes what I think is completely and totally outrageous. Is the FBI having weekly meetings with social media companies to tell them, well, you really ought to suppress this story, and this other story is misinformation, and that should not be happening. The FBI's job is to investigate crimes, okay? Their job is not to be censoring the news or opinion appearing in the media. Can just imagine for a second, Andy, what would be the cries of outrage if we discovered that the FBI was having weekly meetings with the New York Times and telling them that, oh, really, you shouldn't be doing a story about this, and really, you shouldn't be talking about that. The New York Times and the media world would be outraged over that, and yet the FBI was doing that with social media companies, and folks are not making a big deal about it. They should. And frankly, if we had actually a good FBI director, he would be telling his agents, you are strictly forbidden from speaking to any executives at any social media company unless you are investigating the commission of a crime and you have probable cause to believe a crime has been committed.
Yeah, it is wild. I actually do believe that the Twitter files are certainly front and center because of, honestly, where they are on Twitter, and it's super easily consumable. But what Eric Schmidt has been doing with this lawsuit, I think the magnitude of it is great, and it's good that you're bringing attention to it. You know, you just mentioned the FBI director. I look at this from a 30,000-foot view and think to myself, how does this get fixed? Like, if we don't have our First Amendment anymore, if the government agencies are allowed to clandestinely contact the people who get it's not policing really like the idea of free speech. They're policing political ideology in the town square on Twitter, on these social media platforms. So basically what we're saying is there is a government-approved ideology that can be discussed, and there is a government ideology, or there's a government disallowed ideology that won't be discussed, and they have that connection right now. If that is proven, where does it, what is the constitutional process to put that into on trial and to have some actionable offense after it? And how do we get this ugly, ugly beast back to where it needs to be for the American people?
Well, first of all, the current head of the FBI is being completely and totally irresponsible in allowing this to go on and not immediately stopping it. I think any of the agents who were involved in this, frankly, ought to be let go. They ought to be fired from the FBI. I just can't believe that they did not understand what was wrong with what they were doing. I think the House needs to take the information coming out from Eric Schmidt and that lawsuit and do intense oversight of the FBI. And frankly, they may need to look. It might get to the point where they have to pass a statute, a law that goes after the FBI and prevents them from doing this. At the very least, when they get control of the appropriations process starting in January, they're going to have to use the appropriations process to go after the FBI for doing this and using it to prevent them from continuing to do it.
You know, I think about Eric Schmidt no longer going to be the attorney general for the state of Missouri. There will be two attorneys general in the Senate now between Josh Hawley and Eric Schmidt from Missouri, who are fighters for the Constitution. And that majority would have been so nice to be able to have them in action in the Senate. They don't have it now, but I'm thinking about the majority of the Republicans in the House who are going to be able to do these investigations. And then ultimately 2024, I Googled to make sure that I wasn't going to say something stupid to like the smartest constitutionally based person that I know, which is Hans, who we're talking to right now. But the FBI director is appointed by the United States president and confirmed by the Senate. In 2024, a lot of people think Donald Trump has to be the guy who runs for the Republican nominee to be the president because he needs to go in there and get rid of the FBI director and do the things that you're saying, which is if you're associated with this, you got to be gone. What do you believe is the magnitude of what needs to happen if a Republican or any president really were to win in 2024 to effectively immediately make that change? Is it just clean house?
Yeah, there have to be major reforms inside the FBI, and it starts with getting rid of the current leadership. And it includes things like establishing an inspector general who's responsible only for the FBI. I think a lot of folks don't realize that the FBI is part of the U.S. Justice Department. And so the inspector general for the Justice Department is the one who's assigned to watch over the FBI, along with the rest of that gigantic department. And I think given all the problems we see with the FBI, that's not good enough. There needs to be an inspector general whose only job it is to review and make sure that the FBI is not doing the kind of things that it's been doing. And that's just a start of things. I think there also needs to be internal reorganizations of the way the department is run to prevent this kind of thing from happening again.
I agree with that. Hans von Spakovsky, author of the book, Our Broken Elections, How the Left Changed the Way You Vote. Might be a great Christmas present for somebody. You can get it right now. We always appreciate you, Hans, and we always are grateful for the way you break things down for us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll do it again next week. Hans von Spakovsky, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation and a DOJ lawyer with us just there talking about the James Baker story. Let's take a quick break. Wiggins America, when we come back, he's going to talk about some concern that might be existing over third parties in the 2024 election. And he'll break that down for us when we come back. The Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll today. Are we in a culture war? Absolutely. Absolutely not. Or I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. Go vote. Leave us a comment. We'll give you the results at 2:45. Wiggins America when we return.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Make life your goal. And sure there's something's gotta come to you. And you gotta say it's all right.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS employees and enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Very excited to be talking to you about Fire Creek Snack Sticks, one of my favorite things for this holiday season. I have been a longtime customer of Fire Creek Snacks, and I went and spoke with them and said, hey, come back on the show. We want you to join us again because I want to share one of the best stocking stuffers that's out there. If you're looking for something to get, I was going to say man, but that's sexist because I love them. My kids love them. Fire Creek Snack Sticks. I just got a box of them. We're going to share some of these later on in the show. They have 4 different flavors that I have. Kicker, which is hickory smoked, a little spicy. Teriyaki, which is my favorite. They have the original flavor of meat snack stick, and now they have a new one called Sweet Heat Barbecue. We're going to try that later. Can't wait. The thing that I love about Fire Creek Snack Sticks is how portable they are and how fresh they are, and they don't have any of the extra additives, no artificial ingredients. They're gluten-free, soy-free, MSG-free, high in protein, low in sugar, and you can take them anywhere. I keep them for my kids, put them in your golf bag. You take them with you for a snack in between lunch and dinner. Fire Creek snack sticks are a wonderful gift for the holiday season. I have given them for Christmas myself, and I think you should give them a try as well. You can find them in Schnucks all around the area. Hopefully they're not sold out. People want them. You see them, grab them because they go fast. You can go to firecreeksnacks.com and enter the coupon code Annie at checkout. Save 15%. That's firecreeksnacks.com.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
If you're retiring soon, join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Save up to $900 in utility rebates and see if you qualify for 0% financing on a new high-efficiency HVAC system. For details and to get into your comfort zone, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Celebrating 22 years as St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Thanks for being a part of it. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Man, Huey Lewis and now this. When times were simpler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't have to be attractive to be in.
Don't you feel more attractive listening to the song?
A little bit.
Yeah, everybody does. If you don't, then you're not listening to Phil Collins correctly.
That's right.
This is Genesis, isn't it?
I can never keep track of which one's which because it's Phil Collins singing, so I don't know.
I mean, it is Phil Collins, but is this Genesis Phil Collins?
No, I don't know.
We're going to get inundated with comments on the live chat like,
duh.
Obviously it's Genesis. And be like, I was 6, but I know this song. And I could walk a walk listening to this song. When I was 6.
Oh, you just reminded me of that video. I completely forgot about that specific. I was thinking about the one.
It's the video. It is the
but
video
it's the
with
video.
the song.
It's also the words of the song.
Isn't it just them walking sideways?
Only thing about me is the way I walk. Yes.
Yeah. They're not. It's like they're doing the walk like an Egyptian, but they're not doing that, right?
I don't think that women. Gosh, this is a broad statement. No pun intended.
Hey, burnt.
I actually think it's just like the way we are. But if a man can sing or play an instrument, they are just infinitely more attractive than they actually are.
That's why I always pretended that I could in college.
That's how you got your wife.
Yep.
But I mean, like, I don't think that. It really has to do, I'm talking about heterosexual attraction here, I understand that, but it really has to do with, like, men's brains and women's brains just function differently. Mm-hmm. And if, like, a woman sees a man playing a guitar and pouring their soul out into the song, they're like, oh, he's so in tune with his emotions and sensitive, and he looks great. Like, a man doesn't need a woman to pick up a guitar or a microphone and be like, oh, she's kind of hot.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all.
And I'm not even, like, I'm not mad about it. It just is the way it is. It's a little frustrating being on this end of that little equation.
No. The opposite is true. The opposite is true. We have to do something.
You're just mad that you don't actually know how to play the guitar.
No, I'm not.
Right. No. I'll agree with that.
Thank you, Brad.
I'll agree. No. I'm agreeing with Annie.
Yeah.
This just doesn't happen.
It's frustrating.
Okay, fine.
Women don't just wake up, get out of bed, and you're like, wow, look at her.
You also don't just go, I can play the guitar all of a sudden.
There's a couple guys that are like that.
You literally did.
Well, yes, but I was lying. I didn't actually play the guitar.
Literally got your wife to date you, if I remember the story. Is that right?
It was a bit. I was just doing a bit.
And everybody who's listened to the show for any amount of time is shocked.
Yeah.
And the bit was?
The bit was that
15
at
seconds?
parties, I would do this all the time.
Just in case there was a girl at the party.
Yeah, which there hopefully were. I was going to say usually, but hopefully.
Katie wasn't the first girl to come to the party, was she?
I don't know. I would have my friends build me up as a really good musician. And I'd always be like, oh, gosh, no, not here. Not here. Always deny it. Deny, because I was just so humble that I couldn't play at this party. Then finally, after building it up for long enough, I'd finally go, fine, okay. I'd pick up a guitar, gong, no idea how to play it, and I'd start singing Man Who Sold the World. Why that song? I don't know. I just would.
Wiggins! Oh, Wiggins!
But the point is, if
and
you
then she married you.
Yeah, but the bit worked.
I know. That's because you picked up the guitar to play the guitar, and you showed that you had a, air quotes, talent, which was, air quotes, comedy.
I would also spend about 6 to 7 minutes tuning it. As if I'm like, oh, this isn't quite right yet.
But the whole point is, what she saw in you was two things: personality and potential.
Unrealized, because I still don't know how to play.
And when you saw her, you just saw her.
Mm-hmm. And that's the point that Brad and I are making. We had to work so darn hard.
Brad is not making that point.
I think he is.
No, my point is it's frustrating to be a guitar, like, the greasy dude with the guitar gets the girls because, oh, he's a guitar guy and he's got passion and blah, blah, blah. That's what's frustrating to me.
Who in here can't play the guitar? Raise your hand.
Here's another question. Who in here has tried to learn how to play the guitar?
Not really. You have.
Definitely
Table the discussion. We'll revisit it at 2 o'clock with Hannah and get an extra impartial voice in the room.
Yeah, because this is good.
Because what the people really want to hear right now is about third-party candidates for the 2024
They're like, what's
election?
Andrew Yang up to these days? Enough of this malarkey. Let's hear it. No, hang on now, because I want to say this. The reason that I'm bringing this up, because we've talked about this a little bit already. But there's a new article out from Axios says that Democrats are actively trying to stop outside groups from forming bipartisan presidential tickets in 2024, warning voters that the effort is political malpractice. Here is that quote that we listened to, is a couple months old, from Jim Acosta saying this exact thing to Andrew Yang about the Forward Party.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
It didn't work.
As you pull it up.
It didn't work. Go ahead.
But people worry about another 2016 scenario where a third-party candidate like Jill Stein or Gary Johnson costs Hillary Clinton the election. Don't you think that putting yourself out there, putting this party out there as an alternative that appeals to some moderate Republicans, could potentially throw the race to Donald Trump, put Donald Trump back in the White House? Is that what you want?
I'm the co-chair of an anti-extremist party. I ran against Trump. So I don't plan on doing anything that's going to increase Trump's odds. But again, 62%
why not run as a Democrat again?
See, that's Acosta saying exactly what this article is saying.
Acosta just should have said to him, if you love Trump so much, why don't you just marry him?
Yeah. Well, if you remember, this interview is the one where he goes on to ask him, well, what is the Forward Party's...
Sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
What are your policy positions? And he's like, well, we're neither here nor there.
Yeah, it was like, we think that the two other options are so crappy, we don't even have policies.
Yeah.
We're just not that.
You guys are extreme. We're not. Okay, what does that mean, Andrew? Like, for instance, what does that mean about Roe versus Wade? Well, I'm personally for a woman's choice, but I understand the other side's argument. Well, what does that mean? What would you do? You're asking people to vote for you.
That's an opinion. You need to have a policy.
Yes.
You're allowed to have an opinion as a citizen. You want to represent Americans. You're going to have to tell us what that looks like.
Yeah. And they're basically, all they're saying is, we want to try to bring people together. Great goal. Great goal. Don't exactly know what you're thinking you're going to accomplish with that by having no policies, because one interview pretty much took them down. They're still there, though. Andrew Yang is not a huge face on the platform's website, so I don't know if he actually is the nominee or if they're going through that process or what that even looks like. But this article talks about not just the Forward Party. There is this big group that is not a party. So they must be a super PAC or something like that. They are called No Labels.
I wish they were called No Scrubs.
Me too. Because we don't want no scrubs, but we might want no labels. They have re-energized this quiet campaign to recruit and fund an alternative presidential ticket. So they're not going to run somebody, but they are going to fund third-party candidates. Here is a clip from No Labels.
That's why No Labels is laying the groundwork to offer Americans a real choice in 2024. We are getting on the ballot in all 50 states to create an opening for a presidential ticket that stands for the kind of ideas that appeal to most people, even if it drives the extremes crazy.
Now, that sounds real nice. That sounds like something that your buddy at the barbecue would say, we need to throw them all out. Okay, but these guys have $70 million. That is why Democrats are a little concerned that they actually could make waves in 2024.
Like half of what was spent on Herschel Walker's entire campaign.
I was going to say, that didn't sound like a whole lot of money.
Well,
no, that's a lot of money.
It's enough
the
for
Democrats,
a campaign.
The Democrats spent $100 million more than that. It was like twice as much
on Raphael Warnock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not life-changing money, but you're talking about, and this is kind of the question I wanted to ask you guys. Is it something that could make an impact if you have, like, so they have $70 million right now. Let's say by 2024, they got double that or more. Do you think this could actually make an impact? Not that they would win or the Forward Party would make any sort of waves, but enough that it could swing the election in just swing states?
I think it's impossible to know that right now. My default answer would be no, but Donald Trump is the only person who's suggested he's running right now. I mean, he's the only one who's filed. I don't think that it's people put these things out and then they want you to donate to them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm going to donate to it just in case it will swing the election.
It's all. Well, I wouldn't be so sure that it would swing the election that way. How do you know who's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party?
Yeah, I mean, that's another good question.
These people are so obsessed with Donald Trump, they're doing everything they can to stop him, but also they're raising money. That's what they're doing. They're raising money.
They're raising money, but the interesting part of this article to me from Axios is the fact that Democrats are trying to sway them to not enter
because they want the money.
Yeah, okay, they want the money, but but that means that also these people, if they're getting that money, they're also getting those voters, and that's what makes Democrats
no, they're not,
afraid
because
of them.
those voters are 698 days away.
Yes, then they will get those voters. Not right now. They're not going to spend that money right now.
But first, money.
But first, they got to get the money.
And this is all about money. It's always about money. And it's the sick part about all of it, which is a bipartisan problem. People frustrated with Mitch McConnell about the way he raises and spends money. People frustrated with Donald Trump about the way he raised and spent political money. Is that the money is the most important thing. The details are where you decide to spend it later. And then you're sitting here and you're looking at 51 Democrats in the Senate when we were supposed to have a red wave. Money, money, money. It's the only thing that's important, more important than even you. It's so frustrating. And by you, I don't mean you. I mean you.
You mean Yang 24.
We'll be right back.
At Shane Company, we know that love and meaning can be captured in a beautiful piece of fine jewelry. That's why we offer so many options to make your holiday gift even more personal. Jewelry with a birthstone makes a wonderful gift because it holds so much significance. Shane Company has unique styles with birthstones for every month of the year. Diamonds, cultured pearls, rubies, opals, and more. Why not create a necklace with her birthstone and then add a charm for good luck? A necklace with the first letter of her name lets her know how important she is to you. And our gold letter charms sparkle with diamond accents. Or select an engravable style. Give your loved one a bracelet inscribed with the place you met so they'll never forget that moment. Or capture your strong connection with a promise ring inscribed with both of your initials. Our jewelry consultants will make it easy. At Shane Company, we give you so many ways to create gifts infused with meaning. Treasures they'll have forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
So Ruler Foods is where you are going to visit us next week. I'd love to see you Wednesday, December 14th at the Ruler Foods in St. Charles. It's on West Clay Street, super easy to get to. And we are collecting food to donate to the St. Louis Area Food Bank. I need your help, folks, and I'm imploring you to help me make a gigantic contribution to a food bank that is seeing more and more people than usual this time of year that need their services. They need the help of the people in their community, and that's you, and that's me. So let's partner together to fill as many boxes as we possibly can with food to help those in our community that need it. This is the right thing to do, to step up in the private sector and partner with people who want to help us, and Ruler Foods has absolutely done that, and I hope that you'll partner with us as well. It's noon to 3 that we'll be broadcasting live outside of the Ruler Foods on West Clay Street in St. Charles. Donate your whatever you can. Go shopping at Ruler Foods, bring some canned goods out, and we would love to see you. You can go to 971talk.com/events.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Audacy app.
Detainee decision. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. As basketball star Brittany Griner heads home from Russia, the Biden administration is rejecting questions about preferential treatment for the athlete. She was freed in a prisoner swap, while fellow American Paul Whelan remains imprisoned in Russia.
This was not a choice for us of which American to bring home. That was not the choice. It was a choice between bringing home one American or bringing home none. And we brought one home today. And that is important to note.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre also says it was not a decision the president made lightly, and he is pledging to keep fighting.
And we'll keep negotiating in good faith for Paul's release. I guarantee that. I say that to the family. I guarantee you.
The administration says Russia is treating Whelan's case differently. The prisoner swapped for Griner, Victor Boot, is a notorious arms dealer who was serving a 25-year sentence in the U.S. on charges including conspiring to kill Americans. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi celebrating final passage of the Respect for Marriage Act.
At last, we have history in the making, but not only are we on the right side of history, we're on the right side of the future. Expanding freedom in America.
The bill is heading to the president's desk. It does not codify the Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage, but it does require states to recognize marriages that are legal when they're performed, offering protection for existing same-sex unions if that Supreme Court decision were overturned. The House just passing a defense policy bill that includes rescinding the military's COVID vaccine mandate. That's now headed to the Senate. The White House has said it's a mistake to end the mandate. President Biden and the defense chief still support requiring shots. Thousands of service members have been discharged or had benefits cut for refusing to get COVID shots at a time when recruitment is falling short. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Keeping it wet on this Thursday afternoon, all in the form of rain. It's a soaking rain. 52 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, rain comes to an end this evening, but the clouds are with us all night long. 45. Friday, partly to mostly cloudy. Chance of a couple of showers on Friday, 51. A batch of rain Saturday, dry on Sunday, and in the 40s. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Next Wednesday, December 14th, The Annie Frey Show is broadcasting live from Ruler Foods in St. Charles. Stop by and donate a few items in support of the St. Louis Area Food Bank. The Annie Frey Show at Ruler Foods in St. Charles. Next Wednesday, December 14th.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all. With soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas, exclusively from Pajamagram. Sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching Naturally Nude nightie with the purchase of Naturally Nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and a free Naturally Nude nightie when you order today. Just go to pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's pajamagram.com.
Some things happen slowly, and maybe you don't notice right away that you're slowing down, that you don't recover as quickly from injuries or sore muscles, and you kind of wonder why, but you just go on with your life. Victory Men's Health was set up with you in mind. They have medical doctors who've been working in the area of men's health specifically for 30 years. If you've got low T, if you've got ED, if you're dealing with any of those issues, don't suffer in silence. You can thank me later. Book your appointment at victorymenshealth.com.
This is Andy Berg, board-certified master arborist with Hanson's Tree Service. Maintaining healthy trees in our urban environment is a challenge, and our trees often don't perform how we'd like. Go to hansonstree.com to find out how we can service your trees today.
Our $200 Christmas gift card offer has been extended through year's end at all Dave Munganast family of dealerships pre-owned locations. Come see the Munganast difference today and get a $200 gift card with your pre-owned purchase, or shop us 24/7 at davemunganast.com since 1965.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Good morning, folks, and it is a good morning. Moments ago, standing together with her wife Sherelle in the Oval Office, I spoke with Brittany Griner. She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittany will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along.
So the president talking about successfully securing the return of Brittany Griner, and it comes at a pretty steep cost. The United States returns the merchant of death to Russia. And they were not able to secure a veteran who is being detained by Russia named Paul Whelan.
We never forgot about Brittany. We've not forgotten about Paul Whelan, who's been unjustly detained in Russia for years. This was not a choice of which American to bring home. We brought home Trevor Reed when we had a chance early this year. Sadly, for totally illegitimate reasons, Russia is treating Paul's case differently than Brittany's. And while we have not yet succeeded in securing Paul's release, we are not giving up.
You're becoming like my most stable relationship.
So we want to talk to our friend Tyrus, who is a Fox News contributor. He is on Gutfeld. He's on his own podcast, Tyrus and Tim. You should subscribe to that. He's author of a book, Just Tyrus, a memoir. Tyrus, welcome back to the show. Good to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
Were you able to listen to the president speaking on this issue? We get Brittany Griner back, and we had to trade the merchant of death for her return. And the question is, Paul Whelan, who is a veteran who is still detained by Russia, not able to secure his return. What do you make of all of this?
Well, first and foremost, I'm happy that Brittany is reunited with her family. I can't imagine what's going through her head. Hopefully, when she comes back, she'll be a little wiser, a little smarter, and will use her platform to talk to athletes about what it is to when you go to other countries and represent your country, yourself, and others, etc. But as far as our government goes, it's just more of the same. Unfortunately, for the veterans, he just didn't check enough boxes for Biden to really put any real effort
key, and it is important to
There's no, I mean, you can just tell by his body language. When he does do something, he takes a lot of credit for it. He has a lot to say about it. He read his written speech, and that's that. But again, you can have two thoughts on this subject. One thought is you're happy that Griner's out of there, being held for almost a year over what in America we would consider a minor offense is awful. But it was the law over there.
Yeah.
And again, you can be happy for her being home and that she can put this behind her and be wiser and smarter. But you could also be, why is it taking so long to get somewhere with a veteran who's given his life to serve this country, and you come up with, oh, he wasn't on the table. I didn't know that Russia set our dinner table.
Yeah.
I didn't know that are we the power of this planet or not? Clearly we're not. Whoever's negotiating this deal got what they wanted and probably didn't understand the significance of a man who is known to work with terrorists and fought the death of civilians, and now he will go right back to work with a pretty big axe to grind. So I guess they're going to high-five if their mission accomplished. But again, it always feels like every time this administration does something good, before you can digest it, you're regurgitating the aftertaste of what's probably going to happen after.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's very hard to listen to the president come out and talk about this as a really great success, and then to kind of understand the things that weren't able to be cleared in this. I want to play this here real quick. This is a 2010 clip that's talking about Victor Bout, who is the person we traded for Griner. Again, this was in 2010.
Victor Bout, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth.
Without a doubt.
Mike Braun, the former chief of operations for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, told us Bout first exploded on the scene in war-torn West Africa in the late 1980s. Elevating bloody conflicts from machetes and single-shot rifles to
AK-47s, not by the thousands, but by the tens of thousands.
So he weaponizes civil war in Africa.
He transformed these young adolescent warriors into insidious, mindless, maniacally driven killing machines that operated with assembly line efficiencies.
So they're saying, Tyrus, that this guy that we traded back is one of the most dangerous men on the earth. I like what you're saying when you're talking about, like, we need to be able to hold more than one thought in our head at the same time. But what would you feel like if you knew somebody who risked their life to get this guy in custody behind bars here in the United States? I mean, there were people who worked very hard specifically to make sure we could detain him.
Exactly. But again, if I was Russia and I'm kind of losing a war, and I get a guy who's known for motivating and building soldiers, I'd be pretty happy right now. And it didn't cross anybody's mind that the timing of that particular individual coming to Russia, now they have a fresh set of ideas, they have motivation, And they have a guy who is not only going to be passionate about what I would call get back, you've inspired him. You've inspired other nations. Grab an American, and you can get one of your key guys back. So, again, it has nothing to do, this part of the conversation has nothing to do with Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
She's home. She should be home. But when you look at how this administration does anything, they only really care about first world problems and their voters. I don't think, unfortunately, on the veteran side, they had enough votes.
Yeah.
And that's as ugly as, and I hate saying that, and that's just how I feel.
We're speaking with Tyrus. He's the author of the book, Just Tyrus, a memoir. It is a wonderful Christmas book for anybody who has been following Tyrus's career, the many different facets of Tyrus's career, or if you've been listening to him here on the Annie Frey Show every Thursday for years now. Tyrus, we have a poll question we ask every day, and today's is, are we in a culture war? And, we've got discussion that goes on online along with the daily hours that pass on the show. People on the right and people on the left who are discussing the idea of the culture war. And there's the suggestion that the Republican Party is too focused on this fake idea that a culture war exists. You're a father. You're somebody who has worked in many different arenas. What do you think about that concept of culture war?
I wouldn't say it's a culture war because all you have to do is turn off your TV and get off social media, and the place is pretty nice. People get along. People are happy. Where we're seeing the distortion is in the first world problems, crying about Twitter, crying about first world problems, making up fake everything's racist, and all that's just on TV for ratings. Unfortunately, our politics have become a soap opera. I used to say sports, but it's a soap opera. The ugly reality show that is mainstream media, you turn that off, it's a really nice place to live. I love my neighborhood. I love traveling all over this country, and I always turn my social media off on the weekends, and I have phenomenal weekends. And I haven't had one argument with one person going to my supermarket or going anywhere that you see on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems as if there's there's just a separate reality that exists in the digital world.
They want us to believe that the 10% of 10% want us to believe this is a terrible place, this is a racist place, where a black wrestler sits on the phone on a radio show with a woman talking about world problems and laughing at hockey. I think we're in a pretty good place to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. Tyrus, thanks for being with us today. We always appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure. Happy holidays.
Yep. You
Merry
as well.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Tyrus. He's a co-host of the Tyrus and Tim podcast. He's on Gutfeld, Fox News contributor. I'm going to play this since we're mentioning Gutfeld real quick. This was on last night and it made me laugh.
But a study out of Poland, yes, it's a poll of polls. Wow. Sought to investigate if shorter dudes are aggressive and domineering in order to compensate for having to buy shoes in the children's department. Researchers tested a few hundred people for the so-called dark triad of personality traits, which are narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism, i.e. the manipulation and exploitation of others, or as I call it, fun. Turns out a link was found between all three traits and people who were dissatisfied with their height. In other words, you Polish scientists, you don't know. Huh? Yeah, you again.
It's funny because he's really small. And I just thought it was ironic because we seem to always come back to the conversation on this show about height. One time I mentioned something just to see, I threw the line in the water just to see if I could get Brad and Ryan to take the bait, and boy, they chumped.
Chartreuse buzz bait,
yes,
man.
it was
We just hit that hard.
for sure. And then, like, everywhere I go now, everybody's talking about height.
This begs a question. Why would you do this study? Is it to show bigotry against short people or the flaws of short people?
No, I got to make a deadline, and I've smoked away all my research money, so there is no way to do this, we'll call it a survey, without somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
You give them a pen and a paper, and you go out in the street, and you go, excuse me, sir, you're short. the conversation's already going downhill from there. And then they ask you aggravating questions to get you upset. And then you react angrily. And then, exactly as I thought.
That's so funny. And the thing that's the great irony about our little Annie Frey show conversation, no pun intended, about height, Anna made a YouTube short about that. And it was me throwing that line out in the water and watching you two take the bait about what's short. I think somebody said something about someone being 5'11". And I said something like, that's short. You guys just went nuts. And Anna turned that into a video. So like the YouTube world, they might come across that just randomly. And there's these people who are commenting on that and they're lighting me up. And I'm like, you're 5'5", you're 5'4", you're 5'7". And here's the thing, folks. This is what you need to understand about me. My husband is 5'8".
Yeah, I was going to say.
I love a man who is my height. And I don't think of him as short. His height is of no consequence to me. I mean, he's taller than Wiggins. He's 5'5". But it's just like, it's ridiculous that height is such a, I mean, I don't know. Maybe height is for men what weight is for women. Is that possible? Women tend to be more interested in their, or consumed by their weight.
Listen, guys would not be concerned with their height if it didn't matter to the women. So like whenever you
maybe that's the same thing for women and weight.
Like the meme is like every girl on what is it? Tinder? Is it Tinder?
Tinder?
The dating app.
You're asking the wrong person.
They're like, no guys under 6 foot. And that just sits wrong with guys. Like, you're not even giving me a chance because I'm
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. Maybe, and I'm saying this as somebody who myself is 5'8". Like my husband being 5'8", I don't, thank God, wear heels really much anymore at all because I don't like to be, personally, this is a me thing. This isn't about him. This is a me thing. I don't want to, like, if we're in photos, I don't want to be taller than him. But that's about me. That's not about him. I married him. I love him. And all 5'8" of him.
And I understand that, and that would hold water if it wasn't almost every girl on these dating apps, at least according to
Are you on these dating apps?
I am not, actually. I haven't seen any of them. But that's just the meme that's out there.
Anyway, Tyrus makes a good point. You want to survey short people, you go and be like, so you're short. You're kind of tainting the pool there. Let's take a quick break because a great guest when we come back, Molly Hemingway, is going to join the Annie Frey Show. And we're going to talk about the big tech, Twitter files, the media and the collusion. Is it happening? We're going to talk with Molly Hemingway about how the media fits into this and how there is an active pressure to suppress one side over the other. She's got a book called Rigged, How the Media, Big Tech, and the Democrats Seized Our Elections. You can get it on Amazon. We're going to talk to her about that when we return. Don't go away.
I was at the top and I was like I'm in the basement. Number one spot, now she found a replacement. I swear now.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
See a pretty face, run my fingers through her hair, my love.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
One of the important parts about choosing an ENT is making sure that you can actually see them. Yeah, that sounds basic. But if you go to gatewaydrs.com, that's gatewaydoctors.com, you can get to know all of the amazing doctors, including Dr. Scott Hardiman, who are at Gateway ENT. If you're looking for an ear, nose, and throat doctor who can serve you, who can schedule you quickly, Gateway ENT is a great destination. You can call them in 314-843-3828. They are one of the oldest private practice ear, nose, and throat groups in the area. They have a location in West County and Sunset Hills, also in Festus. Gateway ENT understands how to keep the patient at the center of the experience. They're not connected to a bunch of big conglomerate hospital groups where they're pressured to refer here and pressured to refer there. They're going to be pressured to do what's best for you. And when you are seeing an ENT, you want to make sure that your ear problem, your nose concern, or your throat issues are going to be seen in a way that cares specifically for your needs. Everybody is going to need an ENT at one point in their life. They serve people of all ages. 314-843-3828, gatewaydrs.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You've been hearing the same old voice at the same old lies.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Trying to fill the same old holes inside. There's a better life. There's a better life. If you got paid.
That these decisions were made appropriately in light of what has come out.
Which decisions? By whom?
By Twitter.
By Twitter on, okay. So, look, we see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen. And, the president said last week, more leaders need to speak out and reject this.
One of the most grating things about this entire development of stories, and there's information coming from all different places, is the way Karine Jean-Pierre talks about these issues. I wrote down these words, I'm talking about misinformation. She talks about how this is an, coincidence. And then she says it's a distraction and she calls it old news. Who is the greatest peddler of misinformation, purposely designed misinformation in this country right now? It's not who Karine Jean-Pierre is accusing of it. And somebody who follows this just at the closest possible ways, Molly Hemingway. She's the editor-in-chief at The Federalist. She's a senior journalism fellow at Hillsdale College, and she's a Fox News contributor, author of the book Rigged: How the Media, Big Tech, and the Democrats Seized Our Elections. You can get it now. Great Christmas gift. Molly, thank you so much for the time today. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here with you.
I appreciate it. We've talked with Hans von Spakovsky earlier, as a legal mind with the Heritage Foundation, about James Baker and all of the places he's been. But something that you focus on in a lot of your work is the media's responsibility and role in all of this communication, misinformation, and miscommunication. Where do you see the media playing into the revelations we're getting from the Twitter files, from Eric Schmidt, our attorney general here in the state of Missouri, his lawsuit suggesting there's collusion between the government and big tech?
Right. Well, this is really big news with Twitter, what's happening. It's really big news that the FBI is colluding with social media giants to suppress news and information that are key to American elections. But it wouldn't matter if we had a competent and ethical media environment, because they would be reporting this news regardless of what the FBI wanted them to do or regardless of what social media giants were doing. And we simply don't have that. You don't need permission from the government or from big tech firms to report on news that's important for the American people to understand heading into an election. You didn't need to be a genius to know that the Biden family business was extremely relevant and had a bunch of issues that needed to be brought to the forefront. And yet our media are so corrupt that far from covering those issues, they covered them up. They worked with the FBI and they worked with big tech firms to cover it up. And they basically ran the Joe Biden campaign in 2020. And I think that's why they're also not making a big deal about these revelations, because they know it implicates them, that they are also affected by, colluding with these agencies and with these big tech firms. And it's embarrassing, and they should be embarrassed. And that's why they're not being honest about what big news this is.
Molly Hemingway joining us now, the editor-in-chief at The Federalist, a regular Fox News contributor. We see you all the time. You can tell that the media advocacy is in full display by the balance of coverage on this particular issue in 2020 and now. And it just is so frustrating but predictable to hear Karine Jean-Pierre refer to this as old news. If it was old news, then they should have reported the news when the news wasn't old. How do they reconcile all of this in their brains when they put their heads on their pillows at night?
Well, and we're talking about the FBI, we're talking about big tech, we're talking about the media. But another bad actor in this whole thing was President Biden, who in a debate knew that this information about his family business was true and lied and blamed Russia. I mean, this is an actual global issue to blame a foreign country that we are now in a proxy war with. Think about how Russians feel about knowing that Joe Biden is willing to lie about them and blame them for things that his family is doing. It is extremely and of course, Karine Jean-Pierre is trying to deflect. That's her job. But why aren't there more people in the press corps who are hammering her on this? Well, that's because, again, they're part of the whole operation.
Molly Hemingway on with us here on the Annie Frey Show right now. I was talking about this a little bit earlier in the show when Karine Jean-Pierre answers a question from a reporter in the press pool. She never just listens to them, looks at them, and responds to them. There's always a sheet in a binder that she has to go to and read from. And, you don't have to memorize the truth. You just have to know the truth. Why is it that she always has these canned responses? She doesn't even address the question. It always ends up being about how the Republicans, maybe now they can step up and work with us. Maybe they can stop pushing hate. I mean, it's so full of talking points that you have a press pool sitting in there. The same thing happens every day. Same questions, same methodology of answering. Nobody calls her on it. Other than maybe Peter Doocy.
Right, exactly. Because of how corrupt our press are, no Democrat press secretary has a difficult job, but she is clearly far and away the worst press secretary we've ever seen. Like she couldn't have an easier job. She has a bunch of friends out there asking her softball questions, and she can't say anything that makes any sense. But that doesn't make it any less dangerous. I mean, you played a little bit of what she was saying. It's deeply un-American. It's anti-American. She's talking joyfully about suppressing news and information, limiting the First Amendment, how the First Amendment, First Amendment isn't just our law, it's also our culture, and you need to be strongly supportive of it. We see how easily threatened it is. And it's terrifying to see how many prominent people on the left, including President Biden and his spokespeople, are just willing to trash this idea that free people have a right to freely discuss information, even information that makes certain powerful people uncomfortable. And they keep on calling it like racism or bigotry. It's free expression that we're talking about, and that's what they're trying to suppress. And the Hunter Biden laptop story is a great example. It has nothing to do with bigotry, nothing to do with racism, and everything to do with a corrupt regime that benefits itself financially while harming the American people. That's what they want to suppress. It's a total violation of our Constitution. And I just want to say, you have all these Republican House members and senators, and far too few of them are out there pounding this drum. We have daily attacks on the First Amendment. We're relying on them to defend us. God bless Eric Schmidt and a few other people who are actually thinking about creative ways to take on this behemoth. But this is an existential threat to the Republic, and we need many more people actually doing something instead of, being led by the media into, complaining about other Republicans or whatever weak, impotent stuff they normally do.
Yeah, the distractions, to use one of Corinne Jean-Pierre's words, like the Republicans absolutely do need to step up in advocacy for the First Amendment and the Constitution. We're speaking with the author of a book called Rigged, How the Media, Big Tech, and the Democrats Seized Our Elections, Molly Hemingway, with us right now. The word collusion, that is a word that the United States has been hearing for quite some time. And I'm just looking it up right now on dictionary.com. Secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy, especially in order to cheat or deceive others. Is there any question, based on what we've seen in depositions that have been taken by Eric Schmidt, whistleblowers from the FBI, and partnering that with what we've seen in the Twitter files that were permitted by James Baker, is there any question that there is collusion to suppress the First Amendment rights of people who have a non-government approved ideology?
No, we've had many people admitting this publicly, sometimes under oath, sometimes otherwise, that there is a massive coordinated campaign to suppress news and information that would help conservatives or would hurt the left. We've been hearing this over and over again, actually, since 2016, when big tech oligarchs said that they would never again let conservative politicians speak directly to the American people. They put in place algorithmic game playing, censorship, deplatforming. They had this with the help of their allies in the media. We now know they had help with allies inside our government. This is, it's just terrifying. It's the kind of thing, when I was growing up, you never would have thought this kind of thing could have happened in the United States of America. It sounds more like what happens, in Soviet times, in Soviet places, and it's happening right now. Everything that comes out confirms what we have long suspected. And again, what is being done to stop it? People really need to be focused on what can be done before it's too late. And again, why I'm happy about this lawsuit, where so much has come out from FBI officials, from big tech officials, admitting and conceding they were working together for political allies and against political opponents. It's horrifying.
Do you believe that the Republican majority in the House, very disappointing midterm for the United States Senate, we got to set that aside for right now, but the Republicans have been able to take the House. That is consequential. Do you think that we are in a position to actually see something be done about this issue?
One thing I wish Republicans would do is look at how Democrats approach these issues. So when they have very narrow majorities, they act as if they have been given a mandate from the electoral gods. They push an end to the filibuster, packing the Supreme Court, passing federalization of voting processes. There's no mandate for that stuff, but they push for it anyway, and they end up getting a big part of what they want in their misnamed Inflation Reduction Act or other big spending bills. Republicans tend to look at a small majority and they go, oh, we have a small majority, there's nothing we can do. Well, the American people are really ready for them to talk big, have big plans, and then maybe they don't hit all of their big plans, but they can be surprised at how much they can accomplish. And also, you have to fight the rhetorical battle. You have to get out there and argue for some of these things. I don't even see some of these Republican leaders out there saying anything. And then if they are out there, they're usually just condemning their own voters because they don't like who they picked for candidates, or they're complaining about the previous president. They don't know how to aim their fire on actual opponents. They don't know how to argue for actual changes that will help the American people, and then it ends up having electoral consequences. So they've got some stuff to work with. It certainly seems like Democrats can operate in the minority and accomplish a lot of what they want to do. So the Senate minority Republicans should be able to do far, far, far more, other than just work with Democrats to pass some of their worst ideas of legislation.
Last question for you, Molly Hemingway, who is joining us right now. Always great to have you on the show. That's what I completely agree with those sentiments about what the Republicans who are in office and have this new majority, what they need to do. But there are a lot of disenchanted voters, disenfranchised voters is how they feel, that are looking at this. You go into something like this, and a lot of people believe that the election was taken from from President Trump, and they're looking on how to piece this together to justify this. My opinion is that this story is even bigger than any of that, and that the ramifications of an emboldened government department like the FBI or anywhere else feeling as though that they can freely have these email communications. I don't know why people are sending emails anymore that would say these things. Like, how free do you feel in your ability to do what you're doing? That this is even broader than that. Where do you want these voters who often think back to 2020? How do they take all of what they're seeing right now and funnel it into what happens in 2024?
Well, I do think, you're in Missouri, and Missouri Republicans have done a good job of actually staying focused on what they can do there. I do think, and I despise, I literally wrote the book against early voting and all the problems it causes. But in those places where that is legal, Republicans need to start competing on that same playing field. They need to learn how to have a ballot operation. Republicans seem to be focused on Election Day. Frequently, they have lost the election by Election Day because Democrats have done so much ballot operations to get ballots into the ballot box. And Republicans are still stuck on this old mode of convincing actual voters to vote and to be, enthusiastic enough to vote on Election Day. They need to understand that in most places in the country, we have unsupervised voting, unsupervised ballot operations, and they need to start competing in that space as well.
Well, I live across the river here in St. Louis in Illinois. So, pour one out for me. Oh, my gosh. Yes. I just am excited that I get to vote long after I'm dead. So, Molly, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate you. And I'm going to encourage people to check out your book, Rigged: How the Media, Big Tech, and the Democrats Seized Our Elections. It's a wonderful read and a great Christmas gift. We appreciate you, Molly. Thank you.
Annie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Molly Hemingway, editor-in-chief at The Federalist. Great to have her on the show. Hope to get her back again. These stories are going to continue to develop. And I know there are people who think that the Twitter files are nothing. If you're two things, two sides of the same coin. If you are predisposed to this concept like, oh my gosh, Annie, how can you think that this is big as Watergate? Find where I said that and play that back for me. I did not. But I am absolutely leaning into this story. I do think it has consequence, and I am waiting to see the details as they develop so that I can present them to you so that you can make your own decision about how big this is. Maybe you come to the conclusion that it is as big as Watergate. And if you're on the other side of the coin, where you think that you know everything that happened in the 2020 election and this just proves it, wait for the details. To suggest that it is absolutely nothing and that it is absolutely everything, I think there's a lot more to come. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to report on what I hear, and we're going to discuss what we think about it as the story goes along. Don't be so quick to squash it. Don't be so quick to spike the ball. Sit in the middle and let's go through it together. I think it's the most sensible way to do it. And it's also the way that I get to not lose my mind because this is just really... It's insane stuff. It's incredibly maddening stuff to know what has taken place already, what we do know, and we brace ourselves for what we find out next. Check out Molly Hemingway's book, Rigged, and we look forward to getting her back again. If you didn't hear the whole interview, you can rewind on the Audacy app or check the Annie Frey Show podcast. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk about American Girl when we come back. Did you ever have an American Girl doll? Did you ever get your daughter, your granddaughter, an American Girl doll? Maybe by now you've heard the story about what American Girl is putting out. We're going to discuss it when we come back. Don't go away.
He's a chain breaker.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
We've all found ourselves worn out from the same old fight. And we've all run to things we know just ain't right. And there's a better life. There's a better life.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Is your home under insulated? Like 90% of homes are. Air Comfort Service can help you with this. They're now offering insulation services. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service, they're proud to be able to offer you this service. 9 out of 10 homes are under insulated. When homes are under insulated, The HVAC system has to work harder than it needs to. Guess what that does? It costs a lot more money. You got to run that furnace so much more, and it takes longer to get your house nice and warm and cozy. You need to make sure that you don't have this issue. You can put in a brand new furnace, but if the insulation is weak, it's not going to do the job it needs to do. You can call Air Comfort Service to have them look at your insulation situation and tell you how they can help you. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. You might think that your furnace is running all the time, over and over and over again. Why is the house not getting warm? Maybe your furnace isn't the problem. Maybe it's the insulation in your home. Call the people who we call in the Frey house when we have HVAC concerns. Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. You can find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service now offers insulation services. Did you know 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated? Increase your energy savings and comfort with better insulation. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Well, this time it's not Disney. The popular doll brand American Girl is now getting slammed over its book that offers gender-changing tips to kids. Parents call the book titled A Smart Girl's Guide Body Image both deceptive and dangerous, saying it strips away all innocence. The book is marketed to children's ages 3 to 12. We actually have the book, and one chapter is titled Gender Joy. It explains, quote, gender expression can be feminine, masculine, or somewhere in between, or someone who doesn't quite fit into the category, and that gender expression is what you show on the outside. Gender identity is what you feel on the inside. Another part explains if you're questioning your gender identity, or if you already know for sure that you are trans or binary, talk with an adult that you trust, like a parent or a school counselor. That person can connect you with a specially trained doctor who can help you and your family decide what's best for your body. At first, you and the doctor might talk about wearing the clothes and using the pronouns that make you feel like the true you. If you haven't gone through puberty yet, the doctor might offer medicine to delay your body's changes, giving you more time to think about your gender identity. And if you've already gone through puberty, a doctor can still help.
Oh my gosh, that's outnumbered. American Girl. American Girl. What is the American Girl now? Well, I have 3 American Girls at home, and they ain't not reading that book. 3 to 12? This book is being marketed to kids 3 to 12. I could see how, listen, there are books that are written that help people go through parts of your life that are complicated. Puberty's not a fun time, and it's super confusing for kids when they enter it and their body starts changing and life starts changing. So there are plenty of books that are out there that talk about the changes your body goes through. What the American Girl book it's like a roadmap for how to take a feeling that you might naturally have inside your brain, inside your body, that you don't understand, and suggesting this, well, you're starting to feel this way. Why not consider being a boy? Why the hell isn't an American boy? American Girl in and of itself is against the whole dang thing. It makes me so mad. So mad.
Yes.
Like
Well-
ragey mad.
Well, first of all, I hope she's not listening. Nah, they're in school. This is one of the Christmas gifts that we've been handed down for generations from my wife's side.
This book?
No, the American Girl thing.
Just clarifying for the folks at home. Did you write this book?
I did not.
This is a biography?
But to listen to the message from this book, it's weird. I was just thinking this morning. Remember in high school, now you guys are a couple years younger than me, just a couple.
Decades.
Did people in your middle school / high school all talk like Beavis and Butthead? Or was that beyond your era? Yes.
Yes.
Not in my class, but my sister's classmates definitely did.
I would not. A, we didn't have cable. B, if we did, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons.
No, me too. But all my friends.
But you absolutely knew who Beavis and Butthead were.
Yeah.
And you knew what. I don't know that I really know all of the actual. I don't even really know. I know they sat on the couch and they said stupid things and they talked like this.
They just always laughed.
And they'd say a women's name or something.
Yeah.
Well, was there always one, or was it just?
Oh no, it was just
whatever.
Anything they heard, they would just say it back again. Trees, wood.
Yeah.
And then they would. I had friends who would talk like them all the time, like it was their identity. They would literally just talk like Beavis and Butthead, like that was what they did. And one guy, I remember particularly, after Beavis and Butthead wasn't even popular anymore, he would be like, "What's up, Wiggins?" And I'm like, dude, you're still doing it.
What does that have to do with American Girl?
It's because they were introduced in a formative period to something. They just mimicked it.
It's part of your identity.
It became part of a lot of their identities.
You apply it to yourself at a formative time, and it's part of the fabric of your life.
Yes.
Which is why if I hear Jagged Little Pill, it is played on my radio. Because 1996, or I think it was 96, and that album, which I did own and had an explicit sticker on it, I think it came off. I think I took it off. But that is... I've listened to those songs since then. I'm like, that is not what I thought it meant in 1996. But it does become formative. If you hand this over, but again, we're not even just talking like formative puberty years. We're talking, this is 3 to 12-year-olds. Listen to Guy Benson.
It actually reminds me, a few months ago, we were having this big national debate about the parental rights law in Florida. Don't say gay is what the critics called it. And the critics of us, people who are objecting to it, they said, oh, this is some right-wing fever dream. No one's really trying to indoctrinate this hardcore gender ideology to such young kids. And it's like, absolutely, yes, they are. And just hold up the book that you just had.
Yeah.
That is it. That is not designed for teenagers. That is designed for young children. And I will say one of my best friends who's a girl mom, she has been a huge American Girl fan forever. And she texted me about this today. She said, I'm out. We're done. She's very pro-LGBT, but she said this is a bridge too far in terms of her kids reading it, maybe without her permission. I will not divulge the identity of that friend, but I will tell you she was at the Christmas party.
So you listen to what he has to say there about the key point, going back to the Don't Say Gay bill, which is not anything that has to do with whether you can or can't say gay. It's not anything that has to do with saying that gay lifestyles are not the right lifestyle. It has to do with when is the appropriate time to enter these subjects into the classroom where they're going to be told to children outside of the supervision of those parents. When are children old enough to be educated in a classroom about human sexuality, which I was raised was for the purpose of procreation? Have fun trying to enter that as the purpose of the biology of this, because then you're having to limit what you can talk about when it comes to human sexuality, because procreation can only happen one way. To listen to Guy Benson talk about his disgust for this book that American Girl is putting out, and to talk about how this is evidence, the proof that there is an effort that is being made to put this type of ideology in front of incredibly, incredibly young children. This is proof positive that that does exist. And if you are a parent, you have to be almost impossibly diligent about everything that your child consumes, because you're probably not thinking like American Girl. I remember reading well, let me put it this way. Everybody else was reading American Girl books. I didn't have any. I never got an American Girl. I kind of wanted one, but only because everybody else had one. But I never really I wasn't really a doll girl.
Surprise.
Really?
No.
No. Yeah. It was super popular when I was young. And they were really expensive. They're really expensive now. But to think about how they like started, I remember them being like, they were like, it was like Little House on the Prairie. It was about young girls in the old days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's about American girls who don't want to be girls. What a journey to get from there to here. And to listen to Guy Benson, who you may or may not know, is married to a man. He is gay. Does that matter? They tell us it does. When he espouses that this is indoctrination of young children, that this is the effort to indoctrinate young children, they are trying to get at your kids' minds with this stuff. Your responsibility as a parent is to police what your kids do get to read and what your kids don't get to read. My kids will not be partaking.
It's sexual conditioning. And all kids go through conditioning. I mean, I just gave the Beavis and Butthead example because it's one that I think we all jokingly remember and went through that era, and it really did have. I mean, people really did talk like Beavis and Butthead. This is a different kind of conditioning that is aimed to not just open up the possibility that, hey, you may be feeling a little bit different. We're not trying to sort of just step in and be your mentor if you're feeling different. We're trying to introduce you to new ideas so that you will accept them and take them on as your identity now. And we all know this. But it needs to be called out because it's getting worse.
Huge difference also in, as a parent, understanding that this is what they're trying to do to get to your kids and educating your children to understand what goes on in the world. My house, we have a Christian house. It is important, the utmost importance for my kids to understand that the world looks like this. We have these expectations for you, and you are never, ever to see somebody who makes different life choices than you do and treat them in a uncomfortable, hateful, discriminatory way because they're different than you. Because if they see you and you're different than them, I don't want them being hateful to you.
It's a lost art.
The idea that you don't disagree or that you don't agree with the lifestyle does not mean you hate them. And that's important. Let's talk a little bit more about this when we come back to Go Away.
Come to the Enchanted Attic. We've got lots of gift ideas for you. Come to the Enchanted Attic, filled with sparkling jewelry, gemstones too. Scented candles, fragrant incense, treasure chests, they're the best fairies too. Buy yourself some soothing music. You will be much calmer if you do. The holidays can be real stressful. Worry stones for everyone will do. Meditation books are helpful. Get your relatives at least one or two. Crystal balls and tarot cards and dragons and Buddhas and feng shui too. Come to the Enchanted Attic, 636-949-9502 in historic St. Charles.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Be a hero this holiday. Donate blood during the Audacy Holiday Heroes Blood Drive. There will be drives at YMCA locations all over the region. All presenting donors will receive a long-sleeve Red Cross t-shirt. And the YMCA is offering a $0 enrollment fee for all donors who join the day of the drive. Schedule your appointment at redcrossblood.org and use sponsor code Audacy. Thank you.
Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Find the car you want, new or used. Get it at Clement, get pre-approved. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. ClementAutoGroup.com.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
If you're retiring soon, join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Audacy app.
A change for the U.S. military clears a hurdle on Lisa Brady. Fox News. The House passing a more than $850 billion defense authorization bill that includes an end to a COVID vaccine mandate.
350 to 80 votes signaled wins for each party. Republicans secured a provision that rescinds a COVID-19 vaccine mandate for military members. The bill also includes pay raises for troops, overhauls the military justice process for sexual assault investigations, and boost overall military funding to enhance competitiveness with China and Russia.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. The White House defending the prisoner swap with Russia that freed basketball star Brittany Griner. They had been pressing Russia to also free American Paul Whelan.
Here were our choices. Our choices was Brittany or no one at all. Bringing home one American or no American at all.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says Russia is treating Whelan's case differently. Whelan's brother says he thinks the administration made the right decision. One of the oldest cold cases in Philadelphia is partly solved with the identity of the boy in the box. Found beaten to death in 1957, he was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His body exhumed twice by investigators.
In 2019, they recovered enough forensic material that Captain Jason Smith says they were able to upload the boy's DNA to a genealogy database. That led them to some of his relatives.
Through further investigation and additional testing, the genealogists involved in this investigation were able to establish the identity of the birth mother of the unidentified child.
This then led to finding the birth record for Zarelli and eventually the identity of the birth father. Smith said they are not yet ready to say who killed the boy, but the investigation is ongoing.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Microsoft's takeover of video game company Activision Blizzard now being challenged by the Federal Trade Commission, just voting to sue over competition concerns. America's listening to Fox News.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk. The facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Keeping it wet on this Thursday afternoon, all in the form of rain. It's a soaking rain. 52 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, rain comes to an end this evening, but the clouds are with us all night long. 45. Friday, partly to mostly cloudy. Chance of a couple of showers on Friday, 51. A batch of rain Saturday, dry on Sunday, and in the 40s. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey, if you live in the Metro East, you may have not connected the dots that you've seen Fountains Family Dentistry in your mail. It's those little ad pages mailers that come. They usually are on the back of those. There are new patient discounts on the back of those too. $99 to get your teeth clean and get a full screening. I think oral cancer screening comes with all of that. But that's if you don't have insurance. If you have dental insurance, you're probably going to get a cleaning at least once per year, if not twice. So take advantage of those benefits and take advantage of that new patient discount too. You can say you heard it here. You can say you got an ad page. It doesn't matter to me. You're hearing about Fountains Family Dentistry. That's the important thing. Fountains Family Dentistry is in Fairview Heights, Illinois. They are easy to get to, and they are easy to make an appointment with. I've said before that if you get online right now on your phone or wherever you're at, and you go to fountains.familydentistry.com, you can put in your request for an appointment at a specific time, and they'll call you right back and say whether or not they have that or close to that, or, hey, maybe we have that this week but not next week or whatever. So very, very easy across the board. They send you reminders so you won't forget to, because that's my biggest problem is actually remembering once I made the appointment. You can do all that, though, at fountains.familydentistry.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Rooney. Do you have an old car that's taking up room in the driveway? Repairs are costly and selling is a hassle? That's why you should donate it to Goodwill. Donating is quick and towing is free. Plus, you get a tax receipt and 4 tickets to a Cardinals game next year, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a win-win. For more information or to donate, visit online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention Cardinals.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local Steel dealer or go online to stihlusa.com/gift guide.
Santa's thinking fine jewelry from Shane Company. Are you? Visit us for gorgeous gifts starting under $300. Order online and get free express shipping.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, it's a book that teaches biblical wisdom through the seasons of life to children and the value of growing the fruit of the Spirit, like love, joy, kindness, patience, gentleness, self-control. And I wanted to do a book reading at a public library, and I was denied by over 50 woke libraries that have hosted drag queen story hours. One of the most outrageous denials was Alameda County Public Library that said they didn't want that book teaching kids biblical values, while at the same time they're hosting a gender name change clinic tomorrow. And I'm thinking, wow. If we're so committed to diversity, why am I being excluded? Why can't I use your facility to read my book? You're a library.
So when you listen to Kirk Cameron talking about his book, it's with Brave Books. We've had authors on that are from Brave Books. We have people who are kind of in the conservative-leaning political space. They get asked to write a book for Brave Books. It's children's books. And the book is specifically targeted to surrounding the idea of Christian values.
My understanding of history is that the family and the church are two great pillars of Western civilization. And those two things need to be removed and taken out of the way in order to fundamentally change the power structure and the moral value code of the nation. And that's why parents are fighting back. In fact, Tucker, hundreds of parents and librarians are now emailing us saying, we want your book and we want to host our own Brave Book Story Hour in our public library. So here's my call to action. I want every parent and every grandparent in America to get their favorite children's storybook, my book or other Brave books, or a book of the Bible. Call your local public library that has hosted a Drag Queen Story Hour and say, I'd like the chance to read my book in the library. And if they say no, they're likely breaking the law and violating the Constitution, and they can contact bravebooks.com. We'll give them free books and all that they need to turn that denial into a revival in their community.
So Kirk Cameron, he certainly has been in the business of religious and, ministerial industry, which isn't a bad thing. There are lots of people who make their living off of ministry. There's nothing wrong with that. He certainly is, I would call him charismatic in some of the things that he has done in the past. What was the big series, Left Behind?
Left Behind, but also he was in Fire. What's the name of that movie? Fireproof.
Fire Creek Snack Sticks?
Fire Creek Snack Sticks. He was in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything to do with that. I'm Lutheran. We're Catholic without the guilt. That's what I always say. I don't know how Catholics feel about that, but if you're a non-Lutheran, and for the Lutherans listening, LCMS, if you're a non-Lutheran and you go to a Lutheran church, you're like, that's Catholic. That's generally the reaction that I get from people. But when you get down to it, and I've said this before, all four of the people in this room, we're all Christians. I expect to see you all in heaven. I intend to be there. So we'll, catch you on the flip side. But we do probably have many differences if we were to sit down and nerd out on theology and Brad's a pastor and he's got his studied experience of the Bible. I grew up in a Lutheran school system and was educated from the very start. My 3-year-old preschool was in a Lutheran school. It was always it's very important for me and how I raise my kids. These are all decisions that I make for myself or that my parents made for me that I'm making for my kids. This is a lifestyle choice. It's interesting to frame it that way because if you compare the idea of Christian living and the tenets that go along with Christian living, like the most broadly agreeable tenets, not the denominations. I mean, there's some churches who don't drink alcohol. There are some churches who say you can't dance or that, so on and so forth. There are things that pretty much can be broadly agreeable among all of those different denominations. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing to live your life in a way that adheres to biblical principles. With that being said, my choice to do that for myself, my husband, and my choice to raise our kids under the expectations and tenets of biblical principles has nothing to do with what you choose to do for your life. It has nothing to do with if you choose to push all of that stuff aside and deny all of that stuff and to live a completely different life, you get to do that. And my religion tells me that God says you have free will to do that. Like, it's not me necessarily saying that. That's God saying that. The free will to do and choose the direction you want to take your life. If we were going to be nerdy about it, we could talk about predestination, but we won't. So when you think about the overarching agreeable things that biblical lifestyles, the connection that you would have, in the broadest sense, if you compare that as a lifestyle choice, which it is, and then you compare that to what the Drag Queen Story Hour is doing in libraries all around Illinois where I live, if that's going to take place in a library, you absolutely have to allow Kirk Cameron's book to be at that library. And that doesn't mean that you're going to say that library is saying that, prioritizing one over the other as one is right and one is wrong. But if you are going to permit something like a drag queen reading storybooks to small children in a library, and you are not going to permit Kirk Cameron's book, which is published by Brave Books, and it talks about living a Christian lifestyle, there is no way that you can reconcile those two things. There's no separation of church and state that needs to go there. Nobody is being forced to go sit down and listen to Kirk Cameron read a Jesus book to a kid. Because that's the same argument that's being made about the drag queen story hours.
Right.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is, are we in a culture war? Absolutely. Absolutely not, or I wouldn't call it that. What do you think?
Absolutely. No doubt about it that we're in a culture war. Although I do have to call out, my local library had one of these drag queen story hours reading a sexualized book, as far as I know. And it became a social media firestorm, probably more than even people who showed up for it. And a lot of people said on there, well, then I want to come and do a Christian book reading, before this Kirk Cameron thing. And the library said, okay, I don't know if they followed through with it, but that's what has to happen. And I was glad to see that. However, to answer your question overall, are we in a culture war? I would be surprised if this poll ends up being anything less than 90% of people saying yes, because we absolutely are.
What do you define as a culture war?
Deeply held morality that is so different from person to person that you can't even agree on basic things. We used to have a common Judeo-Christian ethic in this country that not everybody abided by, but the majority did. And we don't have that anymore.
Colonial America was segregated by different types of practicing religions.
It was formed because of different sort of practical religions.
Yeah.
The Pilgrims wanted to get out from underneath the state-run Church of England. And so that's why they left. They went to, I think, the Netherlands first, and then they're like, we don't want our kids to grow up to be Dutch. And then they moved to the New World.
Shout at the Dutch. Didn't see that coming.
I
didn't have that one on
They
your
were still
bingo
Christian,
card.
though.
Yes. Yeah, they were. They just were not Church of England.
Yeah.
Brad, culture war?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Hannah, I would add to Ryan's definition, I would add it is a struggle for dominance on those beliefs. It's not a you got your thing and I got my thing and we're going to let one another do what we're going to do.
My thing's right, your
my
thing's
thing
wrong.
is right and your thing needs to stop. And that's what I'm seeing in this world today. So, for example, there's a case before the Supreme Court right now that is a web designer who's saying, I will design web pages for people, but I don't want to design web pages for gay marriages. She's saying her First Amendment rights are being violated because they are trying to compel her speech. This is what this Colorado law does. There's Drag Queen Story Hour. There's a war against the church. You see Christians, like COVID is a great example. They left liquor stores open but shut churches down. Things like that. I see that all over the place, and I see a fight. I mean, the battle for the soul of your kids in school. What are we going to teach them? What are we going to let happen? We tell boys that it's not okay to be a man, to be a strong man. We tell girls that, hey, if you don't feel like a girl, you can be a boy. There's
if you don't feel like a girl, this is how you become a boy.
Yeah, this is how you become a boy.
Here's the recipe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the best example I can come up with. If a person in a movie that you're watching, mainstream movie, walks into the scene and they're wearing the little collar, do you expect them to be a good guy or a bad guy?
Depends on the movie.
Well, if it's a Kirk Cameron movie, then you expect them to be a good guy. For the most part, that person's going to be a creep or they're going to turn out to be some sort of weirdo at some point in that movie. So there is a culture war. It is against Christianity. It's against anything really traditional American beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, there's an attack on the family as a traditional structure. I mean, you'll see articles that are talking about, hey, here's why the family is not important. We see articles about it's important, like you are empowered by not going home on the holidays and seeing your family. This is how not important your family is to you. Stuff like that.
Because you're at the epicenter of your universe. And if you are happy, the world is at peace. Because you're the only person that matters. Man, talk about self-worship. Everybody has a God, folks. Just remember that.
That's a good point.
Everybody has a God. Here's the thing about culture war. And this is where people get bent out of shape. Because people, if you say, there's no culture war. I'm not fighting a culture war. Just because you're not in it doesn't mean it's not happening. the conversation surrounding culture war exists for people in different purposes. And if you're somebody, I'll speak for myself, who's raising 4 children, I see the world after them with every passing second. And any time that my presence isn't there, I pray to God that I've equipped them with what they need to withstand the world outside of my presence. And like the most depressing thing about being a parent is that your entire job is to teach them how to not need you. And if you're not preparing them for the world, forget about preparing them for college. Forget about preparing them to drive a car. Forget about preparing them for, their first job interview or anything. If you're not preparing them for the world, all of that stuff comes after that. And you don't have to have a Christian worldview or even a broader religious worldview to know that the world is out to get them. It does not have to be based in religion to be able to have a secular conversation, to think that, like, when left to its own devices without any sort of child rearing that teaches children how to deny themselves the immediate gratification that comes with most things that the world is going to throw at them. You don't have to be like, but Jesus, to think, I really need to prepare my kids for what the world's going to try to do to eat them up, chew them up, and spit them out. Like, that's the nature of the world. I have a Christian worldview that suggests why that is the case. I believe in good. I believe in evil. I believe in brokenness. I believe in sin. That's where I think it comes from. But you don't have to be like, Jesus and the Holy Spirit and religion and Sunday morning church to go like, yeah, the world kind of seems to suck when it's left to its own devices. You're gonna know that. And if you're not, it's gonna get you. you're gonna not see it coming, and it's gonna get you. If we on this show, a lot of people think that 97.1, like a lot of, especially if you're not really of the political belief that I am of or the conservative bent. I mean, we are conservatives. Like, we're all conservatives in this room. This station is filled with conservatives. We talk about things from a conservative perspective. But I don't define myself as a human being like Annie. The first thing I'm going to tell you about myself is not that I'm a conservative. There are things that are incredibly more important to me than my political lean. So I understand if you come into noon to 3 on 97.1 FM Talk and you're listening to St. Louis's home for conservative talk, why you would think that everything I say here on this show is politically rooted. I want to make sure that you understand that that is absolutely not the case. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a child of God. These are the things that are the most important to me. And the politics in my life happens because of those things that I am. I don't parent as a conservative. That's actually like even gross to say out loud. Well, honey, what's the conservative thing to do here? Like, stop it, So when we say, are we in a culture war? It's very easy to conflate that question with, if we are in a culture war, what is the government reaction to how we should manage this? Wrong. That happens. That is what's going on in our government is a reflection of how we choose to participate in a world that's out to get you, in a world that's out to get your kids. It's not in my opinion, the Democrats aren't who is out to get my kids. It's incredibly bigger than that in my life, for me and for my house. It is bigger than the idea that the Democrats are out there to get me. Like, I don't go to bed at night and pray to be safe from the Democrats.
That's because you're a Second Amendment believer.
I got an Elon.
Now I lay me down
I got
to
an
sleep.
Elon Musk bedside. I'm telling you right there. 2, in fact. I am not of the mind that the Democrats are the evil. And I think that the evil that exists in the world will find its way into my life. Every nook and cranny that exists that they can slip through, that they can try to get to me. And I believe that the evil that is in constant persistence, especially to try to get the ones that are most close to the opposite of what that evil is in their heart, I think that often comes from places where you wouldn't expect it. And that the idea that there is an impassioned, destructive force that just exists out there that you have to push back. I think that, to me, it's always like you were talking about in Wiggins America about third parties and how that could affect Trump's election, which sounds like super small compared to this big conversation we're having right now. I'm not picking on it. But my response to that is these third parties that are talking right now, I'm so cynical about all this. I don't think any of that has anything to do with Trump. I don't think any of that has to do anything with Democrats trying to squash third parties that might hurt their ability to win election. I think it all has to do with money. And money is the root of all evil. I really do believe that the culture war in my life, and I'm not talking politically, I don't speak on behalf of the Republican Party. The Republican Party doesn't talk to me unless Brad reaches out to the RNC and says, would you like to come on at 12:25?
Yeah.
And they're like, sure, what would you like to talk about? And then we have a conversation for 15 minutes. That's the extent of it. There are no talking points. There is no prescribed response that I am supposed to follow through. To my success and my detriment, what comes out of my mouth, it's like news to me when it comes out of my mouth. And same thing for these guys who are here in the room. This is the most important overarching issue that faces anybody in a completely quad partisan kind of way. The idea that there is a culture out there and we have to be able to fight for the culture that we want to live in. And here's where we boil it down and we get to the petty politics of it. If people who are like me, who are conservative in their lifestyles, not necessarily their politics, because of a Christian faith, are quiet about it, then on the secular level, in the secular conversation that does end up bringing in politics, your lifestyle is invalidated because you don't get to speak on it. And Kirk Cameron is trying to speak on it. His sister, Candace Cameron Bure, is trying to speak on it. She made a positive comment about traditional marriage and the movies she's making. She's not at Hallmark. She's at Great American Family Network or something. And she's being berated for it. She knew she was going to be berated for it when she said that. She said it anyway. Neil McDonough, who's on Yellowstone, Fox News article right now, reflects on bonding with Kevin Costner, his devotion to faith, God first. He is famously stuck by his faith and lost roles in Hollywood because he just decided that his faith was more important than how big of a star he could be in Hollywood. Please see these people and understand that they are speaking in a situation where they know they're going to get blowback for it, but they're speaking anyway. And what the people who disagree with those lifestyles are going to do is shout at them and try to shut them up. And what they're going to say is, you're trying to control my life. Well, here's the deal. Only one person in that instance is trying to control somebody else's life. And if Christians shut up, and if Christians don't speak on why they live the lifestyles they do and have the worldview that they do, then those people effectively do silence and disallow a lifestyle to exist. I see a lot of people coming out right now who are saying things in the face of hatred that I feel like there's more of that now than there was before.
There's more people speaking up about it because they know they have to now. These are people that did not want to engage in these things, but it's right in their face, especially with the schools, especially with kids stuff, that they're getting involved because they have to, because they know if they don't, they're just going to lose. They're going to be walked all over.
Anti-Frey YouTube channel, go vote. Are we in a culture war? Absolutely, absolutely not. Or I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. And you can leave your comments. Hannah is here watching them come in. She's going to highlight some of them at 2:45. So make your comment impressive enough for even Hannah to appreciate. How do you feel about that? Good?
That's great.
Yeah, leave your votes. We want to hear what you have to say. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite things. We have partnered with several different businesses that I use, that I'm a customer of, previous to December, and I'm going to talk to you about my favorite things, and you guys are going to talk about some of yours. And we're going to share with you, if you're looking for gifts and you haven't found just the right thing for that person in your life, maybe we have something to recommend for you. Stick around. More Annie Frey Show in a minute.
The The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
What is the most random thing you are afraid of?
I am terrified of getting a paper cut on my eyeball.
That is pretty random. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new podcast, Your Weirdest Fears, where we dig into the weird, the wacky, the things that keep you up at night, and learn how to survive them. Listen and subscribe on the Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts.
So one of my favorite things is Fire Creek snack sticks. I already got a message from somebody. Let me pull this up here. From Jenny on the Facebook page, because I talked to you about Fire Creek snacks a little bit earlier in the show. You can go to firecreeksnacks.com, use promo code Annie, save 15%. Amazing gift opportunities for anybody in your life who likes a great protein snack. This is what Jenny said. Thank you so much for telling us about Fire Creek snacks. I just ordered a bunch for gifts and, of course, some for my family also, and the discount helped a lot. Thank you. Use Annie and save 15% at firecreeksnacks.com. We all opened up the Sweet Heat Barbecue Hickory Smoked. Ryan, thoughts?
The heat hits later.
It does. It's kind of sneaky. You're like, these aren't okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's not painful. You didn't have to have a drink afterwards, but you kind of wash it down a little bit. I have Sweet Heat Barbecue, Fire Creek snack sticks, the kicker, which I'm going to give you right now. You ready for that?
Yeah, but those are hotter, I know.
Yeah, I want you to do this right before we go back on the air.
Let's do that.
So that you're drooling on yourself. Kicker. You want one, Brad? Please. Do you like spicy stuff, Hannah? Here you go.
I would rather try the Sweet Heat Barbecue. I miss that.
Okay. Well, yeah, you weren't in here when we do that. You can get that. So there's kicker, and they are spicier. Teriyaki and original. They are delicious. They're great for the golf bag. They're great for the desk drawer. They are low in calorie, and they are gluten-free, soy-free, 7 grams of protein, no MSG, no nitrates or nitrites added. They're healthy and delicious. Absolutely delicious. FireCreekSnacks.com. Use promo code Annie to save 15%.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Join us at Audacy as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Avoid giving useless knickknacks this holiday season and look for durable items that will last for years. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
If you're a fan of 97.1, get a t-shirt. Visit 971talk.com/merch to see all the new t-shirt designs and show your support for St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Met a man wearing a t-shirt said Virginia is for lovers. Had a Bible in his left hand and a bottle in
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
We both started laughing when the sky started to rain. Get along down the road. We got along.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Lots to talk about here on the Annie Frey Show today. A great podcast opportunity if you haven't subscribed to us yet. If you didn't get to hear the whole show, Hans von Spakovsky breaking down the James Baker saga, all the different places he's been, all the things he's seen, and all the stuff he's hidden, I guess. Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation at 12:25 with us. Tyrus at 1:10 talking about Brittany Griner's release. And then at 1:25, we welcomed Molly Hemingway back to the show, the editor-in-chief of The Federalist. You see her on Fox News all the time. And we're talking about the media's responsibility and kind of culpability in all of the drama that we're seeing based on the depositions from Eric Schmidt's lawsuit, the FBI whistleblowers, and the Twitter files. So you're going to want to check out that podcast today. You can rewind on the Audacy app as well. You guys ready for favorite things?
No.
How are you doing over there?
It's hot. I took a bite of a kicker. They're hotter than Sweet Heat. Sweet Heat is
hotter
new.
than expected.
Hotter than expected. It is hotter than expected. Hotter than expected. Hotter than expected.
Super hot. Maybe I'll try that the next time I do a spot for them.
You should kick. Well, have you bitten in a kicker yet?
I finished mine.
Oh my gosh! How did you do that?
It's delicious.
It's because he's taller than you.
He likes spicier stuff than I do too. Do you eat spicy stuff at all?
You're
Not
soft.
really.
No. Are you gonna try one?
I'm going to try the Sweet Heat.
I forgot.
Oh yeah. Yes, you should.
No, my
Sweet
mouth's
Heat
been
Barbecue.
watering.
FireCreekSnacks.com. Promo code
Thank you.
Annie to save 15%.
Tomorrow, poll idea. Just since I'm looking around the room, who's
prettiest?
No. Although we never came back to that conversation. Who is the most high maintenance? Because
Do you think that's a good idea?
no,
And that's what makes it good.
but that.
Are you
yeah.
asking that right after you asked if I eat anything spicy?
I am. I'm looking around the
Okay.
room and I'm looking at everybody's different personalities with the Fire Creek snack
Ryan's
sticks, and
eating
I'm
like
going.
1 centimeter of a bite of the kicker thing.
Well, I can chew
man,
it while we
I
talk
don't think
if you
I can
want
do
to.
this right now. Have you tried yours yet, Brad? Brad's like, mine's gone.
It's gone.
I'm actually impressed. How did you do that? We got those right before the bump music started.
No, we didn't.
You just swallowed it whole.
We had it for the whole break. She handed them out during.
Oh, you know
the
what?
ad.
You're right, because I was finishing the other one.
Yeah.
That's what was going on.
If you're eating a cheese stick, like just a normal, peel mozzarella cheese stick, do you peel it?
Not anymore. Not since I was in 3rd grade.
Do you eat it in bites?
Mm-hmm.
Is my son a Martian? For he just sticks the whole thing in his mouth.
No, I
He's
actually
12.
going to give him a little bit of high five on
No,
that.
he's 100% 12-year-old boy.
Yep.
That's accurate.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what he should do.
That's the way you eat fruit snacks bags.
This is no.
All at once.
This
Just
is like, I look at him as his mother, and I'm constantly just like jaw dropped, like watching an animal in the wild.
No, that's completely normal. You can pack away more food that way. He's 12 years old. That's the best way to do it. I still eat that way a lot.
Support local wildlife.
Are
Raise
we,
boys.
if we do that poll tomorrow, because this is how this usually goes. People will be like, I don't like it when you do polls where we have to pick one of you. It makes me sad for the other. Like, we always discuss ahead of time, like, are we cool with this? Can we handle the blowback or the heat that we're going to get? Like, if you ask a question on the YouTube poll, who's the highest maintenance? And then Hannah has to highlight the comments. We got to be, I've got thick skin. I can handle it.
I can handle it. I think it's a great poll.
I cannot. I should not win that poll, but we should do it. I'm actually genuinely curious to see what people say.
Yeah.
I'm really
'Cause
good
we
with
know
this
the
because
truth.
I know
No,
it's
we
not
don't.
going to be me.
It's not going to be you.
No, we
That's
know.
a fact.
I am dying to hear what people say about you guys.
So are we good? Hands in the middle? Yep.
Hands in the middle.
Everybody's fine with it?
Go team.
All right. Well, Friday on the show, we're going to find out who among us is the most high maintenance. You can vote on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We'll put that up here shortly. Favorite things?
Favorite things.
First, we're going to talk about, we have? Yeah. Okay, never mind. Ryan did work. Let's acknowledge it.
It's
Whoa!
time for Annie's favorite things.
Simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
I feel terrible.
That's the first time you heard that.
It is. Not because of you, because you sent it to me,
Yep.
and I just acknowledged.
You just ignored it.
No, I didn't.
Explain.
I saw it, and I was in I think probably a gym, and I don't think I was in a position to play it and listen to it. And I said to myself, okay, if I forget about this later, we'll just go with it. That's not an ignoring.
And we went with it.
It was a vote of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate that.
I give you an A.
I give me an A too.
Would you say that
I bet
that
you
sounder
do.
is one of your favorite things?
No. That's only because I really don't like that song. But that part of the song is probably the best part of the song.
Good job, Ryan.
Yeah,
Who
you're
likes
welcome.
all those things?
All the things she's listing.
Yeah.
I think at one point she lists paper bags. I was like, really?
There is a time where that would have been like, why do you hate the trees? That's the way I feel like our YouTube chat goes sometimes. Anyway, I want to mention some of our favorite things. The reason we're doing this is because we have partnered with several different small businesses that are around the St. Louis area and they're sponsoring us on the show, but I sought them out because I said, I want to be able to talk about you as much as you can because I am a customer of these places. They are literally favorite things of mine. And what we're talking about right now, Fire Creek Snack Sticks. The other cool thing about this is if you're looking for gifts for people, we're going to go around the room. Not everything that we talk about is going to be like, we're not advertising for all of these people, but we will always tell you when we are. Fire Creek is advertising on the show because we came out and I said, these are literally things that I've given gifts before, Fire Creek, and we have secured for you an opportunity to save on these Fire Creek snack sticks. The boxes that you can order, they come in 20 snack sticks in there. Like I said, teriyaki, kicker, original, and sweet heat barbecue. If you are a Ryan Wiggins type of guy, you might want the sweet heat or maybe just the original.
No,
if you're a manly man, then like Brad, then you can take the kicker.
No, none of that's true. I'm at firecreeksnacks.com right now, actually, looking because that is such a good gift idea, a box of those.
It is. Great stocking stuffers. It's fantastic. Whenever I actually had a desk that had drawers, I had a box of these in my desk because they're 110, between 100 or 120 calories, 7 grams of protein, and there's no extra stuff added into these. So I felt good about if I felt like I needed a midday snack, this was 100% the right way to go. And they're great for putting in kids' backpacks. I even have kept boxes of them in my car for going back and forth in between places. So firecreeksnacks.com, use promo code Annie, and you can save 15% at checkout, firecreeksnacks.com. Now, when we go around and we talk about favorite things, our idea here is that we're going to guide you in maybe things that we know really well that we want you to consider for a gift that you might want to give somebody who might have some of those same interests. So, Brad, I know he's got some car things.
Yep.
I wouldn't go out and buy these for me, but if you are looking for a gift for somebody who is a car guy or whatever it is, the interest that we have, we're going to guide you in that direction. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like whenever if a person's a car guy, they're going to keep their car clean. And one of the things that I've always struggled with was trying to find a good cleaning material or good company that made stuff that is really good, high quality products that clean your car really well and keep it clean.
How clean is your car, Ryan?
Scale of 1 to 100.
100 being
100 being
pristine?
pretty clean. I'd put mine at like a 30.
Some people would say a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10.
No, we got to go all in.
But you're a parent.
Yeah, and that's
Impossible.
I like to blame the kids, but before I had kids, it wasn't that great.
All right. Not a car guy, though.
No.
I had to get a pen from your car once, and
Wow.
Well, that is the
it was
kids.
like the jungle in Jumanji. I went in and came out 3
Well,
days later and was
there
like,
was.
Man,
what year is it?
There was pens in there.
yeah.
There was also a lot of other stuff.
Man, you know what I had to do one time? I had to drive Jim Carafano and Hans von Spagoski to that event.
that's
for
so
me.
bad.
Didn't you clean your car like crazy?
I had to go out there and clean that car.
Oh, man. So what do you got, Brad?
So the Chemical Guys is the company that makes most of this stuff. They have they call them foam cannons. These foam
That
cannons.
sounds fun. I
Yes.
could be a car guy for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to use a bucket and a mitt to wash your car. You get a foam cannon. They make 2 kinds. One that hooks to your like pressure washer if you have one of those, or if you just have a garden hose, they have one that hooks to that.
So this is to clean the outside of your
Yeah,
car.
this is to clean the outside of your car.
Or the inside of your enemy's car.
yeah.
This has always been my problem. I want to go wash the car, but I don't want to deal with the bucket. Is there anything in a cannon that you have?
Yes, it's way better.
In fact, the chemical guys do.
Okay.
So you mix you mix your soap, and they make great car washes. You mix that in there and you pop it on there and you start shooting the water over it, and it just blankets your car in a white fluffy foam.
Well, that sounds fun too.
Yeah, and it just
I might buy this for myself.
it is it's awesome. It's fantastic. I got one. Maybe I'll come over and show you how it works sometime.
Share
Probably wash the
link.
kids with it too.
Yeah, I'm not beyond that.
I'm not in the summer.
We shared the link to the chemical guys on the YouTube live chat. What do you got?
Mine, I took a little bit more of a approach to if you don't know what to get for people, this is the kind of thing that I get for people that I don't have interest in common with. One of those things that... What?
There's like
Is this
so
a
many
gift that you were going to buy us that you told me?
No, but I was going to mention that one too.
Okay.
No, this is not that one.
Go ahead.
I will get preemie
babies.
Preemie size baby clothes. They're so cute.
You ever seen the Cabbage Patch dolls that are the little ones? I
Yeah.
get those for people.
Adorable. Who doesn't love that?
I get the premium caramel apples with all kinds of different flavors, and there's like a chai tea caramel apple and things like that. Stuff that
He's just telling us things he wants for Christmas.
Well, maybe.
This is what he's doing.
I project
this into here's what I want. Give me
Yeah.
this.
But the ones that, they're like $15 for like a really, really good caramel apple.
That's pretty steep for you.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Along with maybe something else.
Do you leave the price tag on? It doesn't have a price tag. Do you put a price tag on it?
Yeah, I put a fake price tag on it. Man, can you believe this was a $35 caramel apple?
Inflation, man.
Mhm.
It's terrible.
That's real gold flake on
But
that.
I've not met a single person who, when they get that, is not like, ooh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good gift.
I love a great caramel apple.
Bobby's has great ones
They do. They
in
do.
Maryville, Illinois. All right. I don't have a link for that one, but caramel apples, that's an interesting gift.
My gift suggestion and things that I really like is a water bottle. I use it on the show quite often. It's called a hydro jug. A lot of people like to make comments about it on the live stream. It is I'll have to figure out for sure how many. I think it might be 64 ounces of water. I've been really into the gym recently and
64
improving.
ounces.
64 ounces. Yep.
$39.99 on Amazon. Just shared the link to the one that Hannah picked out on the live chat.
Yep. And it has a sleeve. I like to carry it around like a purse. It's good if you like to keep
Will you
track
get this
of
one
your...
for Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
pink cheetah
I've
print
asked
one?
for
Yeah.
these for Christmas. I asked for a couple of big jugs for Christmas.
Oh, man.
What?
That's 3 days in a row.
I know. What are the odds?
Anyway.
You can see it. You can see that he's
The realization.
launched off the cliff, but he's got to finish the sentence. It's like this slow descent into, oh no.
There was a, what have I done?
I did. I didn't ask for
All
that
right.
big a jug.
And
But they were like 32
Ryan's
ounces.
recommendations are caramel apples and big jugs.
Couple of big jugs.
We'll be right back.
Breaking on that, are we? Okay.
Paint a wall, learn to dance, call your mom, buy a boat, drink a beer, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we
And
all
subscribe.
get along?
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
On a billboard, 1-800 get to know me. Wondered was she photoshopped or were her eyes
Hi, I'm Jeff
really that
Zufall, author of the #1 best-selling book, Keep What's Yours, and senior business tax strategist at Capital Advisory Group. Wishing everyone the happiest of holidays and a prosperous new year. 636-394-5524.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
So Slim 180 is excited to help you lose the weight. I know a lot of people are thinking, Annie, I'm not going to start trying to lose weight right now. It's a couple weeks before Christmas. Well, you could go to Slim 180 right now and purchase the opportunity to save money and then just start when you're ready, which means probably January 2nd, maybe. Reach out to Slim 180 online at myslim180.com. And anybody who goes in there and mentions my name, Annie, awesome opportunity, 20% off the full HCG Drops program, the Crave program, or the Regenerate. You need to get there before December 19th, though, to secure that. When you go there, mention my name and save 20% off the full HCG Drops program, the Crave program, or the Regenerate program. Also, they're going to have an HCG injections weight loss opportunity for you to save between Christmas and New Year. So stay tuned for that. If you are looking to lose weight, you can lose with Slim 180. I have done it. Many other people in St. Louis have done it. They are awarded for the fact that they are a top destination for people to lose weight in this area. Reach out to Slim 180 online at myslim180.com. Hey, it's Annie, and I want you to participate in our December food drive with Ruler Foods. I'm so excited about this, but I need your help. This time of year can be especially difficult for those who are challenged to provide for their families. Your generous support of the St. Louis Area Food Bank will help provide nutritious food for our neighbors in need. You can find a list of the best items to donate by going to 971talk.com. You can pick these right up at Ruler Foods on West Clay Street in St. Charles, where the Annie Frey Show will be live December 14th from noon to 3 p.m. Can't wait to see you. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Thursday afternoon, we'll talk about Senator Hawley's op-ed calling for big changes in the Republican Party.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
For all the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using my name, you think you broke my heart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You think I'm crying on my own, well I ain't. And I didn't want to write a song,
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
But you still hit my phone up. And baby, I'll be moving on. And I think it should be something I don't want to hold back. Maybe you should know that my mama don't like you and she likes everyone.
Brad says that's the meanest thing you can say to anybody. I had to wait for that to hit. Don't you know, like, is there anybody in your life who you want to say something like that to? I mean, it's not the Christian right thing to do, but aren't there people who you're like, you are insufferable? Is it me? Ryan's like, I can't. This is awkward.
And I may be that person for you.
No, it's not that bad.
Thought.
Yeah, I'm having
My
a
mom does like
moment.
you. It's the worst.
What you thinking about, Ryan?
Nothing. Just thinking about that last segment for a second. Also, I am pretty proud that Annie's parents love me.
It's the worst. It hasn't happened in a while, so hopefully he's not listening anymore. But every once he'll be like, what do you think Wiggins thinks about this? I'm like, Dad, knock it off.
I love that. That needs to be a thing at your household for the rest of time.
Yeah. Don't rewind the Audacy app, Dad. Just leave it where it is. When you're
Or actually
Tune
do
into
rewind
Weird
it.
in a little bit. What?
I said actually do rewind it, and maybe you'll see that you don't like Ryan that much.
Tomorrow's YouTube live chat poll, as requested by one Ryan Wiggins, who among us here is the most high maintenance? You can go onto the Annie Frey YouTube channel and vote here shortly. We're going to put that up for tomorrow, and you can let us know who you think is the most high maintenance. Have fun in the comments. We can handle it. We all agree we're cool with that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's your idea, dude.
I know, but I'm a little nervous now.
He was really demanding about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do know what you mean. You mean I was demanding about it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not sure. We all seem to be on a different page.
Ryan Wiggins just talks about big jugs in the last segment, and now he can't follow. All right, today's YouTube live chat poll?
Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, are we in a culture war? Absolutely, absolutely not, or I wouldn't call that, but maybe. I'll read a few comments from our listeners first, and then I'll get to the final results. Jackie S. from YouTube said, we are in a culture war. The welcomed invasion at the border, reparations, grooming and indoctrination of children, restrictions on parental rights, ESG madness, glorifying abortion and obesity, etc.
Some of those things I think are culture, and some of them, I don't know that the border.
I was going to say the same
thing.
thing.
I mean, maybe you could argue that it is. Depends on the why.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it being unattended?
Yeah.
So maybe it could be.
Vicky from YouTube said, I voted yes with the division we have in our country. I don't see a way out of it. Betsy Miller commented on our YouTube and said, my vote is yes, we are in a culture war with morals and just about everything else as well. Very sad for our country. Carlos says that we have been in a culture war since the 80s. Janine says this is the easiest one to ever answer. How can anyone not know we are in a culture war? Never before have traditional values been under such an aggressive attack. Topher from YouTube says, to the poll's point, we have been in a very lopsided culture war since the 60s. It's a war that conservatives haven't won and can't win by the sheer nature of progress. That's an interesting comment. Wavy Lester says, I don't know if we are in a, quote, culture war, but we are definitely in an ideology war. Good versus evil, right versus wrong, acceptable versus unacceptable. I realize I haven't said my response to whether or not I believe we are in a culture war. Earlier, I asked Ryan and Brad and Annie how they each defined a culture war because I was a little bit confused on it. And since then, and I've been thinking about it myself, I do agree that we are in a culture war.
Isn't it important to also add, too, though, that you guys think that, like, Ryan, if you are fighting a culture war, and Brad, if you are, and if I are, we're not fighting. There's no collectively, 100% agreed upon, understood battle that's, I mean, it's going to be
it's different for each person. I think we would all say we're probably roughly on the same side of that because we all have similar morality.
I know people who are Jewish who could say that they're fighting a culture war, and we could potentially be on the same side on a lot of those issues. People who are agnostic or atheist who could. People who are Muslim who could.
I see a lot of people in the chat saying, well, we've been in a culture war since either the 80s or the 60s or whatever.
How about since time?
I was going to say that. It's you never really are not in one. It's just how heated is it? Yeah. And the heat usually gets turned up either slowly or fast, and it's been turned up really fast recently.
I didn't mean to cut you off. So your final thoughts as you've been listening to what we've been saying throughout the show.
I do agree. I do believe that we are in a culture war. I'll get to a few more comments really quick. Larry from YouTube says, I voted yes. The quickest way to socialism is to destroy the culture. I blame Democrat policies, our education system, and the media for the path that we are on. I'll get to the results really quick. Once again, the poll question is asking, are we in a culture war? Absolutely, absolutely not. Or I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. 79% of the people voted that we absolutely are in a culture war. 14% of the people said I wouldn't call it that, but maybe. And 6% of the people said that we are absolutely not in a culture war. That's some pretty interesting results. But once again, 79% of the people say that we absolutely are in a culture war.
You surprised by that?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's not higher. 79% is high, but I actually said I thought I'd see about 90%. 6% saying no surprises me a little bit.
What do you think, Brad?
I'm not surprised. I think that's accurate. I think there are people out there that just really don't know what to call it, whatever it is that they're feeling. So that would be what'd you say, 14% that said, I wouldn't call it that, but maybe.
Yep.
And then, so 14 and what was it, 79?
79, 14, and 6%.
That gets you up in the 90% of people thinking something's up.
We're still having results coming in, but they're staying pretty stagnant with absolutely being the overarching answer for whether or not we're in a culture war.
Well, you can always choose to or to not fight, of course. So just because it's existing, you could acknowledge it and choose not to participate in it. Maybe the way the culture is going right now is the way you want it to be. The interesting thing that I think of right now is a lot of the acceptance and the tolerance. I mean, you used to see bumper stickers that said tolerance or whatever. A lot of the people who were pushing for a broader acceptance of people who differ from, the Christian, conservative, understood expectation of the way to live. They've broadened the understanding that people live lives differently. But we've swung into the side where if you were part of what was considered traditional, you were no longer allowed a position and acceptable. And we got to even that back out again. And it only happens if you speak on it. Thanks for listening today. Check out the podcast and stay right here on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Mark Reardon next.
If you own a home in St. Louis and you want to